Good evening. I would like to call to order the Keizer City Council in regular session. It is Monday, August 3rd, 2026, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Parsons?
Here.
Councilor Kohler?
Here.
Councilor Cross?
Councilor Cross is currently listed as absent. We're going to take care of that shortly.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Council President Starr? Here. Councilor Christopher? Here. Councilor Duran?
Here.
So, if you are able, I ask you to rise and all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have no items under special orders of business, but top of the order will be to a motion that it is considered important that Councilor Cross attend tonight's evening meeting by Zoom.
So moved.
Looking for a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council consider it important for Councilor Cross to be deemed present and attend by Zoom. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously, and Councilor Cross is now present via Zoom. All right. Let's go directly then to committee reports. And boy, do we have a lot of them. Y'all been busy. Let's start with the Keizer Public Arts Commission and Ms. Claire Duran. Hello.
Hello. So Claire Duran with Keizer. The Public Arts Commission approved a 48 by 60 inch painting by Madison Stewart to go into the art gallery. It's named The Forest of Forgotten Dreams, and it'll hang for August and September. We also approved 49 paintings by Deborah Sisko to hang in the art gallery for August and September as well. And then we had a few more submissions for the utility boxes, but we agreed that we wanted them to represent Keizer a little bit better, and we're gonna ask the artists if they're interested in designing some more Keizer-related artwork for their utility boxes, like McNary sports themes or Celtic sports themes. And then we did approve one utility box submission by a 12-year-old named Riley, and it consists of 4 cats. And we just thought that showcasing a Keizer child's artwork would be super cute. So we're thinking of putting it near, in Keizer Station near the Petco, because that also makes sense.
Oh, that's cute.
And then we are having the praise statue that is currently in that shopping strip across from Dutch Bros. We're having that moved to Crossroads Fellowship Church. And we are out of concrete pads for those statues, so we are having some more poured. And then lastly, we're talking about the possibility of covering up the graffiti at the skate park and having a call to artists to have a community paint day. We believe that having authorized artwork will deter the future of graffiti. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Ms. Duran? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Matt Myers for multimodal.
Good evening, Mayor Clark, City Council members, and city employees. I have a brief report. The Multimodal Committee does not have any recommendations currently to bring to the committee, but I will brief you on our meeting last month. As you know, the city's Keizer is preparing to launch a 2-branch sidewalk program, and the program, according to Public Works Director, is considering offering grants to match low-interest loans to improve the sidewalk network. And we, with respect, would just like to be involved in that process as much as we can be for to address trip hazards and safety issues. The next thing, I was not at the work session. I got to spend some extra time in O'Hare Airport. I would have rather been with all of you. But I understand we went over the neighborhood traffic management plan, and we proposed some revisions. I can't speak to what those are, but I know that I talked to Director Carey about those, and hopefully we'll make some changes there. I did want to give the police department some credit. They've been actively enforcing illegal electric motorbikes, e-bikes, using education, warnings, and citations as needed, and we appreciate that. That's a big issue. So thank you very much. We get a lot of concerned citizens that come to our meeting and say, what are you doing about it? So in partnership, we're figuring that out. So that's an important issue. And then the last thing on my list is there's some concern on the new Windsor Island development about the increase of traffic that's going to be in that area, and how we manage that, or what we do to mitigate any safety concerns or safety risks. That is my report. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Myers? Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a real quick welcome back to Oregon. A real quick recap of the National Scout Jamboree that you attended. Would have been okay, but I understand. But thank you for doing that and being a part of a great organization and reporting for.
Thank you. Yes,
traffic safety.
that's where I was, and that's why I missed the meeting. And it was a great time had by literally 15,000 kids all in one place. So organized chaos, but with lots of fun to be had. So thank you, everyone.
So I'd like to take advantage of something you brought up about the e-bikes, and I'm going to keep you there for a second in case you have a follow-up, but I'd like to go over, if I may, to Chief Copeland, because we had a couple of incidents just over the weekend that drive that point home. No pun intended.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Councilors. Yes, I think this is something we talk about internally quite a bit. We put some information out on Facebook and maybe Instagram, not so much social media savvy. Yeah, e-bikes and kids these days, our youth are finding e-bikes go very fast and hard to control them. And we just caution parents to supervise them very well, and to maybe not buy the young adolescents in our community bikes that go fast. And also for the kids, thank you, Councilor Parsons, helmets, and to ride them not on sidewalks or in our parks, please, where they overtake people. And certainly not on our turf fields. If anybody's watching, that would, that's a bad place to be, so. Anyways, yeah, we just got to be safe, and these crashes end up putting kids in hospitals, and I think that's the biggest issue. We want our kids to be safe and have fun, but do it safely.
Thank you, Chief. And our role is education and inform the public, and work with your department any way we can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Making sure I don't have, oh, Robin Barney, Community Diversity Engagement. Almost.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Councilman. I'm here to report on the Keizer Cultural Celebration. And most of our operations has been taken care of. We've got the permits and applications are done. Tim Woods will be receiving an email from me tomorrow. The needs from the city have been finally figured out, what we'll need as far as cones and shutting off the driveway over at the Keizer Cultural Center. The site layout is complicated, and we have a bit of a snafu. And I'm working with Anne Marie tomorrow at 11:30 to figure out the snafu. The Keizer Library is selling their books and having the book sale at the Civic Center the same day as we're doing the celebration. They require parking. I have children's activities where they want to be parking. So I'm having to relocate the children's activities, and I'm gonna work with Anne Marie to see if I can keep them in the north part of the main parking lot, if that will be okay, only allowing for cars to motor on the, oh no, that was backwards, the south end of the main parking lot, with the library cars parking on the north side and only being able to use that one driveway. I'm hoping it'll fly, but I'll know more tomorrow about 11:30. Spoke with Lieutenant Went last week, and I'm good to go with them. I am not anticipating any alcohol to be served, and he has given me some really good ideas. We're going to create a flyer for those residents on Rickman and on Bailey, so they know that there are going to be cars parking up and down the streets on the 10th. And I've got Lawrence and Valley have stepped up and will be providing us with our trash and recycling. And I've received one bid for porta potties, but I'm looking for another one from the Oregon portable toilets that the city uses to see if they come in comparable. Mayor Kathy Clark has said that she would secure the color guard, and Tammy Coons is doing the dignitaries and the opening statement. I have reached out to Councilor Kohler to help with volunteers because he always has a really good batch of volunteers. Thank you. Thank you. And sponsorship letters have gone out. I've got one who's responded immediately. And we have all kinds of food trucks wanting to pack that parking lot. So I'm going to have, our little committee is going to have to narrow down what we want to be provided out there. Right now, last week we started receiving emails who wants to be vendors. We've got a good variety. Over the weekend, I haven't been able to look at them. I've got another 11 sitting in my inbox to respond to. Now, I have a contingency on Plan B. Lily, bless her heart, brought to my attention, it is going to be October. Possibility of rain. So she and I decided we will have a big tent reserved that week. If it's going to rain or even look like it, we will put it up in the main courtyard out front and envelope in the shrubbery that's in there. There's no other possible way to put that big tent up there without one. And we'll just redo all of the vendors in the big tent with still the entertainment. Then we'll be in the Civic Center. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Wow. Council President Starr.
Of course.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Barney, date, time of the location, or the date and time of the event?
October 10th, Saturday, from 11 to 5.
And here.
And here at Chalmers Stones Park and the Civic Center.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And if people want more information, where should they send that request to?
They send that request to advertising@keizertimes.com or just drop by the office at 142 Shamawa North.
And that's the Keizer Times office. All right. Any more questions?
Thank you for all the work.
Yes, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, before I go to neighborhood association, any more committee reports? Okay, neighborhood associations. West Keizer, Rhonda. And we have this beautiful West Keizer Neighborhood Association Today newsletter.
Good evening, council, staff. Rhonda Rich, president of the West Keizer Neighborhood Association. And I'm here with Jeff Kelder, who's our newest board member. And we're glad to have him on the board. Chris Adams had to resign due to health issues. And so we voted at the board meeting unanimous to have Jeff join us. So Jeff has been involved with the neighborhood association probably for about 10 years or so. Yeah, and lately he's been coming to the meetings and informing us on the Detroit Lake drawdown. So welcome. Do you have anything you wanted to share? Okay. And so we have our August newsletter that you each have a copy of. And although we haven't had meetings this summer, we've been involved with the Soggy Day in the Park, the Trashy Tuesday, and the Fun Friday. So we have been busy and also working over at Cummings Elementary School on Delight Street. If you go down that street, the school's looking really good. We did some plantings and cleaning up and sweeping the building, and the principal emailed me today and said it looks beautiful, and she really appreciated it. So taking care of our little neighborhood school. And so in our newsletter, we do have the lineup for the speakers. September 10th will be our first meeting. Kevin Cameron, the Marion County Commissioner, will be coming to that meeting. October 8th will be City Manager Adam Brown, and November 12th will be Gregory Walsh, Director of Emergency Management with Marion County. So we invite anybody to come to those meetings. We do have a few comments to make on the ordinance. Maybe you want to hold off on that, but I can share that. Basically, it's a question about the meetings. I know you wanted the meetings to be at the Civic Center. I think what it says is the regular meetings of the association board shall be held at a publicized date, time, and place. And the association board makes it sound like it's the board instead of general meetings, which I think the intent was to have the general meetings here at City Hall. And so I think that needs to be clarified, because the association board meetings, we also publicize, but we don't have those at the City Hall, and I don't think you want to have another night here. And we kind of like it sharing at neighborhood board members' houses. It's a little more personal. So, and the voting on issues with the results recorded separately from votes of the association board. I don't know what the intent is on that. That's standards for recognition under E, section 274. So we have never done that. And so I just was questioning why we would have a separate tally of how the board members vote, whether that's at a general meeting or, so just I need some clarification on that.
Can you give me that number again? Just, I wasn't
It's
making notes.
standards for recognition, section 2274 under E,
Okay, thank you.
that whole paragraph. And then, of course, the ADA, the F, the ADA requirements on the minutes, I imagine that'll be something that we get some help from the city from if somebody needs something extra for the minutes. So that's all. Otherwise, looks good to me. So, and the board, that's all we have.
Great. Any questions for Ms. Rich? All right. Looking forward to, National Night Out. Yes.
Yes. Almost forgot.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow night. I was real excited. I went to Safeway and had their bubble sticks, like 50% off, so they're 50 cents each. These really long ones that make really big bubbles. So I bought them out, 40 of them. So we'll be handing them out to the kids, and Jeff and Carolyn and I will be going around to the parties in our neighborhood association. And we'll be giving out the newsletter, asking if there's any concerns, inviting people to our meetings. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
All right.
okay.
Well, hopefully, some of us will be able to
Yeah,
get
we'll
through to those.
Yeah.
All around town. It's a busy night.
We'll see you tomorrow night. Okay,
That's right.
thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Jeff. Welcome aboard. All right. Do I have another neighborhood association? I don't have any other neighborhood associations signed up. Is there another neighborhood association report? Okay. Okay, great. That takes care of committee reports. Let's go to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We do have a public hearing this evening on the matter of, an order in the matter of the amendment of rates for franchise solid waste collection within the city of Keizer, effective as of October 1, 2026. If you're here for that, stand by. Other than that, before we go to people who have signed up, I want to acknowledge for the record, written public comment that has been received through today. David Philbrick, resident of Keizer, comments on the Neighborhood Traffic Management Program. Dakota Saunders, former Keizer resident, expressing disappointment and frustration over recent actions related to investigation. Dustin Carstetter, resident of Keizer, comments on field management at Keizer Rapids Park. Lex Tingy, I hope I pronounced that correctly, resident of Keizer, data centers and NDAs. Carolyn Homan, resident of Keizer, comments and questions regarding the investigation outcome and costs. And Patty Tischer, resident of Keizer, comments about the neighborhood association ordinance. Those will be entered into the record. Okay, public comment, Will Johnson wants to address 9D on the sports fields. So do you want to come up now, or do you want, council, I'm going to ask you if you would like to have people speak to that particular agenda item now, or come up during that agenda item, so we have the conversation all together. Council prerogative.
How many people?
I have one person actually signed up.
I just do it now.
Okay, come on down. All right.
Might be a while.
Yeah. Sorry.
Didn't realize I was going to be speaking until an hour. All right, my name is Will Johnson, resident of Keizer. I'm also the president of McNair Youth Baseball. We know each other well. I'm just going to read because it's better than going off the top of my head. I'm here tonight to support Sports Facilities Company in their continued efforts with the fields at Keizer Little League Park. In the 6 months that SFC has been managing the park, there has definitely been some ups and downs with hiccups along the way, which should be expected for any new management arrangement. But overall, I don't have many critical things to say regarding their management when proper context is added. They were awarded the contract of an arguably run-down facility in the middle of winter with less than 45 days before tournament play was supposed to begin, with only $145,000 of seed money with which to start. Could I nitpick how they spent that $145,000? Sure. But again, generally speaking, and with all things considered, I think they have done well with what they were given. One of the two issues that I brought to City Manager Brown at the end of our season meeting was an issue we were having with pitching mounds. As previously noted in SFC's presentation at last council meeting, they inherited old mounds of varying conditions. This year, we pushed the envelope of simultaneous baseball teams. Playing and pitching mounds were a constant issue. During the season, they had two different mounds completely fail and had to figure out a solution on the spot. Most people would just say, buy new mounds. When I suggested that, I was told that they would love to do that, but that the current budget situation didn't allow for it, and they would appreciate some grace as they try to get through the season and then figure out a permanent solution. As of today, 3 new mounds have been purchased, and they're ready for the fall season, which starts next month. Thank you. When it comes to the partnership between the city and SFC, I am perplexed with the members of this council who were mostly on board with SFC 8 months ago, but now seem to be mostly against them for some reason. Why is that? At the last council meeting, I was blown away by the antagonistic tone of several council members during the SFC report. Don't we all want this to work out? Don't we all want our sports complexes to be top-notch? Or are we just interested in making our own self-image look good on social media? SFC's model is a cost-plus model, meaning they're only managers of the city money. If there isn't any money in the bank, they can't do anything. Through meetings I had with the Parks Department and City Manager last fall, it was clear to everyone that bringing these fields back up to pristine quality was going to take a lot of money. $145,000 was not even going to get us anywhere close. While SFC may have been a little too aggressive and may have overshot their initial projections for year one, they could have in no way anticipated some infrastructure challenges that were not apparent in the very limited time they had during the RFP process to do fact-finding. They also could not have possibly anticipated the loss of the major tournament provider who already had fields booked and seemed to be very bullish about the upcoming season. With regards to the actions of council members, I find it odd that not a single council member has reached out to me or KLL President Moore regarding our interactions with the fields this season, or how we feel about SFC's performance, or what our opinions are regarding future management. I have sent every one of you emails throughout the past year and have not received a single reply. If this is going to work, and I assume we all want it to work, there needs to be more discussion and communication between all parties involved. I realize that several members of this council were very involved in the park years ago when it was in its heyday, but now times are different, and the youth sports world, not to mention everything else, is not what it once was and requires a different approach. With my son about to turn 10 next month, I definitely have a vested interest in these fields for many years to come and believe fully that our goals can be achieved, but we have to have realistic expectations. I have now had 2 meetings with Manager Brown and Public Works Director Blaylock in the past month, and we have many ideas on how to achieve these realistic goals, but we need help from a PR perspective from everyone, including this council. We need to stop fighting with each other and just make a deal. That's where I'm going to stop.
Thank you so much. And if you have that in writing, I would love to also have you get that to Ms. Bissett so the whole text can be published.
Yes.
And I'll look for questions. Counselor Parsons.
Yeah, thank you. I actually have had lots of conversations with Shannon, and I was down there for the Little League tournament every day.
Correct. But she said that the only reason that you had those interactions was because she happened to be there at the same time you were there, that you did not reach out to her.
No, I actually did because her daughter played with my granddaughter at McNary.
I can just go by what she's told me.
Okay, well, I was down there. I mean, I've talked to her all season long since March. So, and she kept saying how everything was good and was going better by the month. And so, I heard some of your comments come through somebody, and so I figured, it was good.
Correct. So then why the need to do a last minute volunteer PR thing to bring these fields up for our kids at the very last tournament of the season when there was no Keizer kids there? Like, that felt kind of odd that we had been there all season playing.
Because that's what I do. And when I started getting very, very, very involved with these fields the last few months, I realized that the only way that we're going to really get these to where people walk in and say, wow, this is a nice park, is to make the front of it look nice.
Right, and
So I
agree.
called volunteers and I said, hey, come on, let's pull weeds, because that's what I did 30 years ago.
Great.
And it worked, and I did it this time, and it worked.
And I agree, and we've talked about a lot of it is curb appeal.
Curb, yes.
A lot of it's curb appeal, and there's ways to do that, and it's easy, and it's relatively inexpensive. It's just labor. I haven't talked to you at all, and I haven't seen you down there until the very end. Shannon says that you have never reached out to her, except she happened to be there. So my point in this is that it feels like everyone has their own agendas, and no one else is talking to us, the ones that use the parks the most. And here we are, we're talking to the city manager and the parks department, but you guys aren't talking to us. And then you guys, that's what I'm saying.
Understood. And normally the city manager is the one that reaches out with these kinds of things. And I didn't ever receive an email from you about the parks. But normally, when we receive emails that have a
disagree.
lot of questions to be asked, usually the mayor is the one that answers those questions. But I would have went down there anytime. But I have a granddaughter who plays at those fields also, and for years. And so I'm always down at the Little League field. And I knew that with this Little League tournament coming in, we had to have curb appeal. And that's why I went down there. And they only had one guy working. He wasn't able to do that. So I said, let me call some people. And I did. And I had 25 people come down on 2 days' notice, and we made it look nice in the beginning, so that Shannon wasn't embarrassed when Little League came. That was it. I mean, I did it 35 years ago, I'll do it today. It doesn't matter to me. I care about those fields, and I think they're doing a wonderful job, so.
I believe you all care about them. My point is, you have your opinions, he has his opinions, she has her opinions, but it doesn't feel like everyone's cohesive about how to move forward. That's my point.
No, I agree.
So,
And before I go to Counselor Kohler, thank you for that comment and, you know, the feeling that we're not engaging with the organizations. Counselor Parsons is right in that we rely on all contract management being through the city manager because that's what is required. And what I'm hearing from you is that there's an opportunity that we have to engage with our local organizations even more fully, and love to have more opportunities come for that engagement as we move forward into this next era for those fields. So I just want to say, I feel that your point is well taken, and there's an opportunity here that we can work on going forward.
yes.
All right.
And also a point to say, that I know that the reputation of each of the two organizations in the past have had its ups and downs, but that both organizations have new people involved, and that is behind us. And we're trying to move forward and work this out.
That's also wonderful news, and that's how we bring the community together. I'm going to go to Counselor Kohler. You had a question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Come to you, Counselor.
Thank you for coming tonight. I have not reached out specifically to you or to the president of Keizer Little League. I have been to the park numerous times and looked at the different things that needed to happen and to improve the park. I've talked to members of your board. I've talked to some of the parents of kids that play, and that's where I got my information. To say and intimate that we don't care about what's going on and we're not around there, I think is a little disingenuous.
I can see your point. I would also suggest that you may be careful who you talk to and get divergent points of opinion. I know several of you, I know Councilor Christopher, for instance, was down there about a month ago and spoke with a couple people who gave their opinions about how it's going, which I think the rest of us would totally disagree with, because that particular person has another angle. And so I think, now obviously you can't, if you're just talking to random people, you can't know that angle. That's just why I agree with getting lots of points of view. I just say, also talk to the official organizations as well. And there is lots to do. The question is how to do it and what order to do it. Our meeting today, we specifically started talking about the Kerba field. That's what I've been digging at, because that's what I hear mostly in all the Facebook comments and all that stuff. I hear the overarching theme is, if it looked better, regardless of whether the field conditions are better, then most of it would go away. And there's lots of creative ways we can accomplish that goal.
So, thank you for sharing. Also, you know, working together, Mr. Brown has been diligent working with the leadership of both organizations through this entire process. We do get reports on that, and the sense I have gotten from that has been the ongoing growing collaboration and communication. So thank you for being very responsive to Mr. Brown, who manages the contract on behalf of the city. And way more than that, there's a deep commitment to excellence for our community and for putting our best foot forward. and look forward to hearing more from you, your organization, your parents, and how we can continue to make this place a welcoming place for our kids and our community. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So when's your opening day?
Fall ball will start right after, Labor Day.
Okay,
We will probably be practicing at the Little League parks, but as you may be aware, the operator has moved the games to other venues, which in the past used to be Keizer Little League Park. So that's our only option at the moment for
Okay.
us.
so operator, go ahead. Yeah, I don't understand.
Can
Sorry.
you clarify what you mean by operator?
Sorry,
Because
the tournament operator. Fall ball
Thank
for
you.
us, since we're not Little League, fall ball for us, we enter what they call Sunday fall ball, which is like 2-game Sundays. It's not like a tournament, but it's run by a tournament provider who used to have his tournaments at Keizer Little League Park. And so that's what our fall ball looks like. Keizer, Little League has their own fall ball. I'm not sure, I'm not sure what their status is for this year, but
Okay.
yeah. We're looking forward to another great spring season. I'll say,
We are too.
which is the primary season.
We wish you all the best in your season and for our kids to have a great experience.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Counselor Christopher?
So I just wanted to make clear, when I was down there with Clint Holland, Phil Bailey talked with us about pitching mounts. That's the first I'd heard of it, was a month ago. And I'm responding to, you said, why so late? That's the first I'd heard of it. And I think right after that, a number of us got busy and worked with City Manager Brown, and you got 3 new pitching mounts because that's what we could afford. But that's the first we'd heard of it. In addition to that, he spoke about not being able to bring pitching machines down, not being able to drive down into the quad because the operator wouldn't allow for that to happen.
I can address that. In my son's been playing baseball for 6 years. And to my knowledge, there is only 1 or 2 people that, in the recent years, that drive their car down to the quad to unload it and load it. And no one else does that because it's awkward and weird when you've got
Kids.
9 kids running around, families running around, and you're driving a car down a 12-foot path.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of obvious to most people not to do it, but there's one person that does it. And before the season, it was very clearly stated that we were not going to get gate codes again, like we've had. I mean, I used to have a master key to the place. I mean, that's how prevalent it was. And that was the first thing I told them, change the locks. But it was very, very like black and white that we were not going to get gate codes, that we were not to drive down there, not to do all this stuff. And Phil Bailey and his friend are the only ones that seem to care about driving down there. Whereas literally everyone else in the world loads their stuff in a cart and pulls it in. So,
Well, I just wanted to make mention of that. I thought both of those were concerns. He also and I verified those with you when we spoke at the Marion Berries game. And I checked in with you then, and I think you wrote a letter to Mr. Brown, as I said.
well, to be
Send it to
clear,
Mr.
you
Brown.
didn't check in with me, you checked in with my in-laws.
No, I checked in with you.
I
We had a
was-
conversation.
Like 30 seconds, but you were there talking to them. I just want to be.
Looking for you.
Maybe. I know you've known them for 30 years, so
Yep.
it's not weird for you to walk up to them. And I'm not wanting to be antagonistic. I'm just saying.
Nor am I. Here's what I want to say. Many of us have long history with Keizer Little League Park. We care deeply about it.
I
And we
believe
care
that.
deeply about our children. And we care deeply about our parents. So it is somewhat disheartening when you say you're not responding, you don't talk with the organization, you don't talk with us. We're talking about those fields almost every single day. We really are. And we don't have all the answers, but we're just like you. We're trying to find what the best answers are for our Keizer families and our Keizer kids. So give us a little bit of grace, because
Right.
we did not know the extent of how poorly those parks' condition was. We did not know that. We gave 145 grand to SFC, and they addressed the most serious safety concerns. I personally went down there with another counselor or two, I can't remember who was on that little trip, to see with my own eyes that all of the most egregious safety concerns had been addressed. They were.
Right.
And I think they spent that money on the most pressing issues. I think there's much, much more to do, and I think aesthetics are part of that. But we're working that together. We're on your side, Will. We want you there, and we want you happy. We want our kids playing in our city park.
I agree, and I don't personally have a problem with the fields. Some people say they're terrible, they're trash, whatever. They're not. I mean, we even had our team, we played, I think it was Oregon City, or someone came down and they had, I guess, never been there before, and they were like, wow, this is a nice park you guys have here. And I was like, oh, thanks. Could it be better? Yes. But we all understand the history. We all understand where they are. What I'm perplexed about is, what I'm saying is it feels like, not so much from you guys, a little bit from you guys, but mostly from the public. Feels like everyone kind of expected it to just be like this overnight change. And it's like, well, you can't do that when you start in February, you know, when it's raining, and you can't, and 145,000 is just a starting point. So
Right.
I understand all of that. What I'm saying is, from the outside looking in, when you see the way that these meetings are reported on, when you see other posts, when you see all these things, it feels like we're not one team moving forward.
We're one
It feels
team.
like we're going at each other, and it just is crazy because
We're one
context is
team
lost.
moving forward. I can assure you.
Yeah. So what we've talked about today was more, and we're going to have more meetings about, hey, what are some creative ways to move forward in a way that, you know, everyone wants turf. Sure, great. It's unrealistic in the next few years because of how expensive it is. So during that time, what can we do with the limited money, especially in the next 18 months? What can we do with the limited funds that we're going to have the next 18 months to whip up the curb appeal? Obviously, they're already working on fixing some of the egregious field conditions, low spots, that kind of stuff. But I mean, I came to them with only 2 complaints after the whole season. And they were relatively simple complaints. And Shani, you were there during that meeting, and it was like, I think they're doing great. Here's the 2 places they can improve on. And so my whole point was just to speak in support of continuing the contract, because 6 months with only $145,000 with all the other things piled on, it would not be fair, in my opinion,
Okay.
to start the process all over again, which, by the way, now's about when we started last year, and we see how that worked out. So, yeah, I say I don't see anything wrong with SFC as the manager. I think there's other things that happen, and we just need to let it play out and keep going.
Play ball. Counselor Duran, anything? All right. Thank you so much, and thank you again for your work for our kids and our community. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. That's everybody I signed up for public comment. So I am going to go to the consent calendar, and Council President Starr.
Absolutely. The consent calendar for Monday, August 3rd reads, item A, approval of the July 20th, 2026 regular session meeting minutes. Item B, approval of the July 27th, 2026 joint work session minutes. And item C, the Event Center fee waiver for the 2026 Scouting America Memorabilia Auction, the Ed Harris Memorial Trade O.Re.
Second.
I haven't moved yet. I just read it.
Oh, well, I'm ready to second it.
All right, so chompy at the bit, but I would ask that we pull 7A, please. That's the July 20th minutes, just for a typo. Anything else? Any other polls? Okay, items.
I move that the consent calendar items B and C be approved as read.
I second that.
Consent calendar items B and C have been moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Item 7A, under the public comment, there was a typo under Dustin Carstetter, resident of Keizer, and the word in the second sentence says, Mr. Carstetter provided written comments that would be, and the word should be distributed, but the word in the packet is distrusted. So if we could flip that, please. To the council the following day. And with that correction, I would ask that we move approval.
I move that we approve the July 20th, 2026 regular session meeting minutes as corrected.
Second.
Item 7A, as corrected, has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. That concludes the consent calendar. Public hearings. I'd like to order a public hearing on the order in the matter of the amendment of rates for franchise solid waste collection within the city of Keizer, effective as of October 1, 2026. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. We brought this to you about a month ago, and you gave us permission to proceed with the public hearing for it, which this public hearing did receive 10 days' notice in the local paper. Lawrence and Valley Recycling have requested a rate schedule adjustment to accommodate high-density housing types within the city, such as triplexes or cottage clusters, or in any individual homeowner could request this type of concierge service. But the root of where this came from is the high-density housing, where there simply isn't enough curb space to accommodate carts for each customer. And so in those cases, the haulers have to stop and grab the carts individually and roll them up to the vehicle, dispose them, and then drive them or run them back to the doorway. So, and for some properties, that could be 6 units, some could be 8, and it's definitely an extra work. As now most of our trucks are automated and just require a driver. So the proposed rate is $9 per container and per month. And I don't know if there's much else to add to it. The ordinance does require me to investigate to see if this is if the request is reasonable. And so what I did was go out there and find what other cities are doing. This model was replicated from what they're doing in Salem, the same haulers. And, but other cities from Bend, Eugene, McMinnville, Salem, Sherwood, Wilsonville, charge for the same service from $4.96 per container to a high of $12.40 per container. So there's a span of changes. Actually, McMinnville was much higher than even that. So with that, you're required to open the public hearing. We do have Marcus Gerber and Greg Dittman here from Valley and Lawrence to answer any questions you may have. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you and happy to answer any questions that I may not have addressed.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the city staff on the report? Councilor Duran.
Mr. Brown, this is something I hadn't thought about before. This says per container. So does that mean they're going to get twice because there's a garbage container and a recycling or yard debris container? So every week they're getting 2 charges?
Yeah, it's possible it could be 2. The yard debris, probably less likely since it's a shared common space. And, but the recycle and the other disposal of the catch-all, it would be $9 per container. So yes.
Yeah, I just hadn't thought of that before.
Any other questions? Council President Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Brown, I just want to clarify, this is an optional fee that the residents who live in those high-density units can choose to take advantage of this concierge service. It's not an automatic charge.
It is not an automatic charge. It is listed as an optional service. There are some dwelling units, though, that where it is impractical to do, somebody wants to opt out to it, but the way it is written, it is optional.
So optional as in they may get charged or they may not get charged, or they can, like, if there's not a place for them to put their garbage bin through no fault of the residents, right, that's living there, it's just a matter of how this development was designed and built, it's what happens.
Yeah, so my understanding is that they can't be forced to participate in this service. It's unfortunate because that decision to have individual containers is made at the development stage when they're being built. And in talking with the haulers, some of the builders have said, no, I just want to pass that onto the residents instead of doing a shared container. But my understanding of the ordinance as it's written is that it is not, we can't force anybody to do it.
So how are they gonna get their wait, I'm literally looking for an option for our residents, because if there's not a place for them to put their garbage can by the curb, I don't understand how this is optional. Anyone? I kind of feel like it's the train station of Yellowstone all over again.
I know, right? Yeah. So if you have, mostly compliance, it's probably not going to be a problem. But if all 6 people at one development I'm thinking of specifically, all 6 people say we don't want to participate, then that's going to create a problem for them on the side of the road. So,
I mean, that's like 4 gallons of milk for somebody a month, and I don't like that.
yeah.
Just to get their garbage disposed of, like, is there not another, I see somebody getting up.
I think our 2, yeah.
Please, come help.
And then I see Councilor Crosswood has a question after you. So stand by, Councilor Cross. I'm going to call on you after Council President Starr, okay?
And I'm not trying to be difficult. I just, like, when I think about our families that might be having to pay this every month, that's, 4 or 5 gallons of milk is a big deal.
Sure. Yeah, so Greg Dittman, Valley Recycling and Disposal.
Marcus Gerber, Lawrence Sanitation.
Yeah, and so these, I don't know that I have a great direct
answer to what you're asking. I will say that every complex is different, that some complexes are built to have a commercial truck drive into them and some are not. And so what the purpose of this optional service is just to create the ability for people who live in those complexes to choose to have us either walk in or drive in to get it. And like I say, every complex is different, so they're not all the same. Some of them, we really can't turn trucks around in.
Right.
And so it's an added expense to the rate structure. This is not a mandatory, none of the other rates are changing, but it's an added expense and liability on our part to service these types of complexes. And it's just, this is the solution that we're using in other areas. Just hasn't, it's just not been a high demand thing in Keizer for these years. So, we negotiate those things out with the customer at the time that it's built. Oftentimes, we don't get to see blueprints before it's built. And it's really a response to the legislature's demand that you fill in
Yeah.
every available space in town. Creates complications that would burden the base rate at the curb for everybody else. And so if you're gonna live in that type of a complex, you're kind of assuming responsibility, financial responsibility for the type of service that complex demands. And, it's more common now, larger complexes are built to handle a commercial front load truck. They all share service, they have dumpsters. We drive in, we've been doing it for years. This is just a different animal that there needs to be an option for those customers to pursue.
So follow up?
Follow up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So do we have any high-density complexes in Keizer that do not have space for the refuse bins to be put out at the curb, that are going to essentially force our residents to pay this extra fee to have your staff walk in and get them and bring them out?
We already service, numerous private lanes where we don't have permission to drive a commercial truck down the lane. Maybe there's 4 houses on the lane. They all bring them out to the curb,
Right.
pile them up. We get out and just service those customers. We use the automated truck, but we pull the carts up to it.
Okay.
And we track everything by serial numbers on the carts in those situations. In that situation, it's not really adding a tremendous expense because we're generally banging them out pretty quick. But in these complexes where we're going to be, potentially driving in or walking in longer distances to service customers. I mean, it is up to the developer to decide how that complex is going to
Yeah.
be serviced. And it's not our,
Yeah, and I know this isn't your doing. I think I'm just concerned
I
that
think
we're,
so the developer building right there on Verda,
Go ahead and pull the microphone toward
sorry.
you.
Hey, so the developer that's building on Verda near the Parkway is the one that brought this to our attention. He was wanting to make it non-optional for the residents in there to put them out on the curb, which does benefit us to get in there because the backup of traffic right there by the light
Right.
creates a hazard. So this is kind of where it came up, us trying to accommodate the safety issue and what the customer is wanting. Unfortunately, it does pass it off to the homeowner. To my understanding, he's notifying them prior to purchase of the standard, but this is, and he's got multiple units popping up around Keizer. So this is
Yeah.
where it's, we're trying to get ahead of it and be a solution to the problem that's being created.
okay, thank you.
While we have them here, any questions for our service providers? Counselor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you guys for coming. This is a complex issue in many ways. When the developer or the owner of the apartment complex is approached with this type of a problem, do some of them say, okay, I understand that, that's something I need to absorb? Or is that always, are they always saying, it's up to the residents?
Yeah, whether it's a, you know, a larger complex or, you know, homeowners associations or whatever, it's always the resident that has to deal with it. I mean, you know, we feel the pinch in trying to make the service as convenient as we can for people, right? But
Appreciate the great work you guys do.
yeah, you know, we're always just trying to make it work for everybody.
Counselor Cross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So 2 questions. When I was reading your report, Adam, I saw that, so this extra charge would be $9, is that correct?
$9 per can.
$9.30,
And then,
actually.
did I read, I'm sorry, I couldn't find it, Eugene is about $4?
Eugene is $4.96. Oh, almost
So why
five.
double?
Yeah, well, as Adam mentioned, the range is, the rate varies a great deal depending on geography, density, and, you know, a variety of factors.
I
Yeah.
get that there's variables depending on city to city, it just,
Yeah.
for, you know, Eugene and Salem going back and forth on who's the second biggest city and whatnot, it just seems interesting that that's almost double the cost. I'm feeling more so on what Council President Starr said. I think this is the wrong time to put another fee. I think that the apartment or the cottage cluster, the owners can take on this cost. And yeah, you can say it's a dozen eggs, you can say it's 3 gallons of milk, you can say whatever it is, but I'm not okay with it.
Okay. Thank you. Council President Starr, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you. It occurred to me, you bill every other month, right? So is that, just to clarify, is that $9, is that per month or every other month? Because you bill every other month?
It's
Per
per
cart.
month. Per cart, per month.
So it could potentially be $36 added to the bill every other month?
Generally, because the recycling service is every other week, we don't go as far as 4 because it's, you know, you would half that generally. So it can be 3. If it's a situation where the drivers can co-op, sometimes we can get it down to 2. You know, the first guy there brings a couple down, the next guy there brings a couple back. There again, things that are negotiated per situation. I mean, like I say, every situation is different, yeah.
I was trying to find a win in it being $9 every other month versus.
Yeah,
so.
well, I appreciate that, but I will say it's not a lucrative service for us. I mean, if you consider we're going in every week, so 4.33 is your divider on that $9 per container. And it's difficult to administrate at some level as well. We're generally, I would say, and this is just anecdotal, lucky if it completely covers the cost of the service, you know.
Thank you. I was trying.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Counselor Parsons?
So this is kind of on the same realm of the questioning. How did you come up with that figure?
Yeah, we literally just pulled the rate right out of the Salem rate sheet because it's a sister community. The geography and locale and everything that factors into it is similar. You know, I don't know if it's bad to say sister city, but yeah.
Okay. Anything further for our service providers? All right, thank you so much for being here to answer questions. We appreciate it.
You bet.
All right. At this time, I would like to ask anybody who is present who would like to speak to this issue. Let me know, do we have anybody signed up for this public hearing? So we have nobody signed up, but the floor is open for anyone who would like to address the council on this matter. Going once. Going twice. All right. Council, do you need any additional information prior to the closure of the public hearing? Oh, Counselor Cross, did you need more information? Okay, thank you. Any more before we close the hearing? Okay. Public hearing is now closed. Council President Starr, would you put a motion on the table for deliberation?
I move that the Keizer City Council adopt the order in the matter of the amendment of rates for franchise solid waste collection within the city of Keizer, effective as of October 1st, 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt order in the matter of amendment of rates for franchise solid waste collection within the city of Keizer, effective as of October 1, 2026. Discussion. Looking. Council President Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Brown, if this doesn't pass, are those residents then without garbage service?
No, they're receiving service now or will be when they're opened. They will do their best to pull it out themselves on their curbside, and so.
Okay, but again, this is voluntary.
Right, it's
Okay, thank you.
not mandatory.
Councilor Christopher?
So was that motion right? Because it sounded like this is the cost for everyone is $9 a can, but it's only for voluntary concierge service, right?
Councilor Christopher, I read the motion as it was written in the staff report.
Not blaming you.
So, to your question, and I'll look to Mr. Lindsay, this is for the amendment of rates. So this amends the rates to add this concierge service. It doesn't change any of the other rates.
Card.
But it didn't specifically call it out.
No, but it is for the new rate schedule. We have the order in here, and then the rate schedule itself is only on page 31 of 96, has the new curbside amount. All the other amounts remain the same.
Okay, I just thought it sounded weird.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no.
No.
Motion passes 5-2. The noes are Cross and Christopher. Mr. Lindsay, does this go to second reading or is it adopted by majority?
This is an order, and so it's now in effect, which it goes into effect October 1.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes public hearings for this evening. We're now going to administrative action. The first item is the Event Center fee waiver, the Keizer EO Salem International Exchange Committee reception and classes. I'm going to go to Mr. Brown and then invite up our guests from the Keizer EO Exchange Program. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Mr. Wood's going to handle this item.
All right, Mr. Wood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. The Keizer EO Salem International Exchange Committee has requested use of the event center on multiple days. They're coming back for their annual tour with their middle school students. They have some training, classroom type of sessions going, and they also have a formal reception. The total fee waiver request is for $1,235, and the city staff is in support of this request. We're also entering a new era now that we have a formal sister city relationship established. And with that, I'll turn it back over to council. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on the staff report before I introduce our guests this evening? All right. Turn it over to Mr. Kazumi Ito and Mr. John.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Mayor, Council President, council members, and city employees, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Katsumi Ito, also known as Chuck. I'm a longtime resident of the Keizer since I graduated from Willamette University back in 1969, and then I live in Keizer since 1972 now. I feel this is my home, beautiful home, away from Japan. But I just like to touch base with you, council members, because Mr. Ed Davis, chairman of the Keizer EO Salem International Exchange Committee, has a emergency family meetings this evening. So I am on his behalf and on behalf of the Keizer EO Salem International Exchange Committee. With me, I have Mr. John Botter, and he is a longtime resident as well as host families for our EO students since the beginning, 2010 to now. And also, he's also currently a treasurer of the newly formed volunteer organizations, the Keizer EO Sister City Committee Association, in which he is now a treasurer. And if there's any questions regarding fiscal issues, I'll refer that to my good friend, Mr. John Borden. Before myself, I have a letter addressed to Madam Mayor and Mr. Brown and regarding a Keizer EO Salem International Exchange. This is a thank you again for your support of our middle school exchange program with the city of Iyo in Ehime Prefecture of Japan. Our program hosted 16 Iyo middle school students from 2010 to 2019 after a 3-year COVID break from 2020 to 2022. With the support of the city of Keizer, we have hosted 14 Iyo students each year since 2023. At a Wednesday evening arrival, which is on August 19th, students were connected in pairs with local host families following weekdays, including morning classes to practice English and learn about American culture, followed by box lunches and various afternoon activities. Afternoon activities included visit to Keizer City Hall, police and fire stations, Heritage Center and Library, the State Capitol and Willamette University, Mission Mill, Keizer Rapid Park, Riverfront Park, including Discovery Village and Carousel, etc. As you know, through the connections enabled by this program, the City of Keizer and the City of Iyo have signed a memorandum of understanding to formalize a sister city agreement. I know I met all of you when I was there in the City of Iyo on, in fact, December 10th, as a part of the MOU, as a translator for them. This exchange is intended to become part of the educational component of that relationship. Keizer Iyo Sister City Association, known as KISCA, has now been formed as a non-profit organization, Section 501c3, and our committee is in process of signing a memorandum of understanding to transfer our remaining operating funds to KISCA for use in this and future exchange years. This is done since that time. Our request of the City of Keizer as follows. Allow us to use a meeting room at Keizer City Hall for our morning classes on Thursday, August 20th and Monday, August 24th. Allow our visitors to host a formal reception on Tuesday evening, August 25th in the Keizer Event Center. Accept a formal greetings to Mayor Clark, City Manager Brown, and other interested city officials from the group leader, Mr. Oyama. Allow our group access to City Hall, council chambers for an explanation of how our local government works. Attend as guest the formal reception and program hosted by our visitors on Tuesday evening, August 25th in the Keizer Event Center. Waive any city and event center fees for the above events. And also, I'd like to give you a little bit of key points for City Council on this particular exchange project. Except, as you know, for COVID 2020-2022, visits have occurred annually since 2010. We have hosted over 200 students by now. In 2023, then Salem Mayor and City Manager chose not to accept a formal visit from Iyo's Mayor and visiting delegation. Keizer City Council agreed unanimously in 2023 to support the visitation and waive fees for use of the event center for morning classes. That continued for 2024 and 2025. Since then, the City of Keizer and EO have entered into memorandum of understanding to pursue a formal sister city agreement. A volunteer local group has formed the Keizer EO Sister City Association, KISCA, and has applied for nonprofit status with Internal Revenue Service, Section 501c3, and this is all completed, except we're just waiting for the final approval from the Internal Revenue Service for that particular portion. A memorandum of understanding has been signed between KISCA and the Keizer EO Salem International Exchange Committee for continuation of this and future visits, and remaining operational funds in the committee's account have been transferred to KISCA and deposited in a separate account to be used exclusively for exchange expenses. Primarily, it's lunches and so forth. Each year, our visitors have hosted a formal dinner reception to say thank you to the host families and others who have worked to make the visit successful for the students. This year, because of the growing relationship between the two cities and increasing cost for hosting 65 to 70 people at the Salem Convention Center, the reception was moved to Keizer Event Center. To show support for our visitors, we are requesting the city waive the fees that would normally be charged for use of the facility. Our visitors will cover all other costs for that receptions, and that would be around $4,500. And for that particular information, I just wanted to let you know that all council members, you are certainly welcome to attend the formal receptions scheduled on Tuesday, August 25th at 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And we hope that you'll be able to continue to grow this relationship between Keizer City and EO City, for which I am very honored to serve as a coordinators on the both our cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Borden, did you have anything to add?
Madam Chair, members of the council, thank you for having us here. We would respectfully request that you approve the fee waiver, and we thank you for your continued support. And I would add one other thing is that we hope at some point to come and provide some information more on what the Keizer EO Sister City Association is in the future, to provide background about what its relationship is to the city, why it was formed, how it is funded, what our activities are, and what our goals and objectives are. So that would be, this is a little bit of an example of the cart before the horse, but that's just where we're at this point in time. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Ito and Mr. Borden? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I enjoyed the reception last year and look forward to that again. Is this request really much different than the request that we did last year?
Well, except the reception.
Except that if I can put it here, this year, because last year, as you remember, we had the formal reception held at the Salem Convention Center. However, I believe this is a very important to develop more meaningful relationship, closer relationship, the tie between City of Keizer and the City of EO. For that particular reason, we would like to use as much as possible about all of the Keizer City facilities available.
And I think we even suggested that last year when we had the reception.
We are accepting it.
Yeah. All right. Any further questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council President Starr, would you like to put a motion on the table, please?
Absolutely. I move the Keizer City Council approve a fee waiver of the event center use fee of $1,235 for the Keizer EO Salem International Exchange Committee events on August 20th, August 24th, and August 25th, 2026.
Happily second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council approve a waiver of the event center use fee of $1,235 for the Keizer EO Salem International Exchange Committee events on August 20th, August 24th, and August 25th, 2026. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Ito, Mr. Borden, and Mr. Brown, and Mr. Wood. All right, we are now going to item 9B, a ordinance relating to recognition of neighborhood associations amending Keizer Code, Chapter 2, Article 8. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. You had a work session and a work meeting on the Neighborhood Association ordinance, and Mr. Lindsay, your city attorney, has prepared the amendments as per the discussion, so I'll hand it over to him.
Thank you. Mr. Lindsay?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Yeah, so there was a joint work session with all of the neighborhood associations back in April 13, and then when the ordinance then was brought before council from that work session on June 15th, there was yet some more suggested changes, so we've tried to add those in. Then, of course, we heard from Ms. Rich tonight that there is maybe some verbiage, and this wasn't, what's interesting about the board in 274E, those weren't changes, those have always been there, I guess. And so it's always good to, if people want to get it right, awesome, thank you, good read, good find. So if the council is so inclined to say we don't need the word board under, it's on page 46 of 96 in your packet, under E, regular meetings of the association, not say board, just association, scratch out board. That could be an as amended. If you're so inclined, that was Ms. Rich's ask. And then her question for that final sentence, which is in black and has been there the whole time this way, or in recent times, I should say, it says all association board meetings shall be open to the public. All members present may vote on issues with results recorded separately from votes of the association board. If you don't believe that that is a necessary separation, you could just end it at results recorded and put a period. And that, I believe, would do what you're asking. So if you guys are inclined to make those amendments and keep the others, I would say as amended would mean that. The other thing I will say is I put in the next one down, F, we had from the original April 13th joint session, we had wordsmithed and said in a city suggested manner, and then later on there was some discussion, I believe on the 15th, is maybe that should say required and not just suggested. And so if you wanted to change, I just put it parenthetically there, that in a city suggested or required manner. So if you guys were so inclined to make it city required, that would be a little firmer. What you'll remember from our discussion then is that the ADA requirements for online compliance are actually for minutes and such. Those are being pushed out yet another year. So we do have some time. I believe it's a year and a half from now that we have to then come into compliance with that. So those, we would start making those either suggestions or requirements at that time, when the state does.
Okay. Anything further?
Oh, no, that's all I have unless you guys have questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Lindsay? I'm going to just go down the aisle. Parsons? Kohler?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lindsay, are those additions and changes that you would recommend?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Council President Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lindsay, a couple of questions on, and I'm sure there will be more. Now let me see where I had it. The minutes. minutes that it states that should be filed with the city recorder. Oh, I don't even.
Chapter and verse.
Yeah, I'm trying to
I think
find
it's
it.
on 47, and it's 3C, where it says the association must not post any non-official minutes?
No, it was there, what was it? Why can I not find it? I just had it because I made a note. It said where the minutes should be filed with the city oh, there it is. I found it. Sorry. Got really excited there. Section 2-274, item F. The minutes made available to any person so requesting. And then the statement is, a copy of the minutes shall be filed with the city recorder. I feel like at some point we had a conversation about a time frame that they needed to be turned in. What? 2-275. No. It's not there. That's the annual report. So what I'm referring to is section 2-274, standards for recognition, item F. It says minutes shall be taken of all board and general meetings. The suggested revision in a city suggested / required or required manner that adheres to ADA compliance with the minutes made available to any person so requesting, end of sentence. Then this is where I have my question. A copy of the minutes shall be filed with the city recorder. Is there a time frame that those have to be filed with the city recorder? And do we want to put that in the standards? Because I think that I think that's fair.
Yeah. As this reads, technically there is not a time frame. So if you want one, you could say within each quarter or, whatever seems reasonable. I know sometimes they don't meet over the summer, so maybe, but I guess ostensibly they wouldn't have minutes then.
Right, if they're not meeting over the summer, they're not gonna have them. Or even if there's just like, I think I'm looking for, so we're not going 3 months without any
suggest?
minutes. I'm seeing a whole bunch of people.
I'll go to Mr. Brown.
You might have the same recommendation. I was going to say either 60 days or 90 days.
Yeah.
60 because they'll approve the minutes at their
At
next
their
meeting.
yeah.
So 90 days might give a little bit more grace period to.
I would put in the 90 days.
I was going to suggest actually within 30 days after adoption. Because whenever their next meeting is, we don't know when that's going to happen, but they're not approved until they're adopted.
Well, yeah, because June, they meet.
So, but they don't meet till September, that sort of thing. But once they're adopted, then they need to be posted. But are we asking them to post something before they're adopted?
Well, I don't know that it's that, but I would like to see when there is action taken at a board, or not a board meeting, but at an association meeting that provides for approval of like positions on issues or like letters, right, that are getting approved. I don't want to have to wait 90 days. So meeting happens on, and I'm just going to make this up, for example, meeting happens on April 1st, right? Position, a neighborhood association position on, I'll just use the Detroit water drawdown, right? The neighborhood wants to take a position and submit a letter for that. They have the meeting on April 1st and they vote to approve the letter that was presented. And then we get that letter to the city council, right? That next week after the association is met. I don't want to wait 90 days to know that that was approved by the association. That's what I'm wondering. So I'm looking to staff, Mr. Lindsay, Mr. Brown, for guidance on that.
So I would say the mayor's suggestion of, after pick a timeline of after they're approved, because then if they take a break, it doesn't create it only creates one per year, probably, whereas most of the time it'll be, like if you said, provided within 2 weeks of being approved, that could be a lot faster, but it gives them approval time at their next meeting. But then every once in a while, if they take a few months off, then it doesn't make it impossible for them. So if you give them a more aggressive 2-week period after they've been approved, then you'll know most of the year. Every time they have a meeting, it'll be within 2 weeks, the minutes, if that makes sense.
I hear the disconnect.
You see where I'm, you see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like
I see what you're saying.
Because I get a letter from the association that says they support whatever, or they are, against something.
Yeah.
How do I know, and it's from an association, how do I know that everybody voted on it if you're gonna make me wait for 90 days to get those minutes?
Yeah.
So, may I?
Yeah.
I'm hearing two things. One is the posting of minutes, and I think that 30 days after adoption in general makes sense because that's fair to allow that to get published and approved and so forth. What I'm hearing from you, Council President Starr, is, and something we do, we adopt minutes later, but if we take action tonight and I send in a letter as directed by council, that is a motion that we have made and allowed me to sign that letter. What I hear you asking for is, where is the documentation to demonstrate to us that that is the procedure that has been followed by the neighborhood association to issue that letter?
Yes.
Did I get it?
That's my concern.
And I think that's a separate issue we're going to have to parse out, separate from this one. I think the minutes adoption is one thing, but what I'm hearing from you is, what is the protocol for documenting a stated position from that organization? Did I get it right?
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Brown?
Madam Mayor, Council, sometimes when you authorize a letter for legislation or some item, I will often state, as per the council's approval on April 4th, 2026, they granted authority to write this letter. Maybe that should be required in any type of support or advocacy or.
So can we have that documentation come with the letter?
Yeah, I would suggest putting it in the letter that says where their board advocated for or against this particular item.
And cite the meeting and then that would show up later in the published minutes as corroborating documentation. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I think but I want to make sure that there's some kind of official, you can go back and look at our meeting, right, online, and see that we voted and we authorized that. We don't have that luxury when we're getting in a letter or some kind of a position statement from a neighborhood association. So I'm wanting to reconcile the two. And it can definitely be a different issue than the minutes that we bring back later, but I want that to be registered, that I want to be able to reconcile that there's support for what is being sent.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. So fix the one that says 30 days after adoption and then work on language around this issue. Okay. Sound fair? Okay.
And then I have one more.
Just one more?
Just one more.
Well, I don't know if it's just, but you do have one more.
It is in 2-274, so the same standard, item 3, or section 3, subpoint 2. I don't want just an official, I think this is a good start about the official website needs to be open to the public, but also would like to add social media pages are open to the public and not requiring friending. Pardon?
I thought we had already said that.
This is website. But this says website. It doesn't say, but where does it say, did I miss the social media section?
No, I was wondering why it was not there.
Okay, so I'm not the only one that picked up on that. Okay, good.
So would you like it to say the official website or other social media pages?
And other.
And,
Okay. Sorry to have missed that.
right.
That's my concern, yeah. Well,
Wasn't there some discussion too about Facebook pages being used and you had to be, had to apply to be a
That's what
part
we
of
mean
it?
by friending.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you want to know that they have one page?
Oh, that too.
well, sometimes Facebook doesn't allow you to fix old stuff, and so
But you can sunset or close it out and have one.
when Facebook decides to cooperate. So, I mean, I think a good faith effort to move toward that, to having one, because I'm aware of at least 2 neighborhood associations who have struggled with that, with old ones that pop up, kind of like a zit.
Yeah, but you can close out the one that requires friending and just go to, you can shut it down and delete it and then move over to a public page that you can just, anybody can follow.
So,
I think those are
so,
my two.
okay, so that was, so there has to be a correction to be more inclusive of not just an official website, but also, social media. Okay,
And I'm glad Counselor Parsons remembered that too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can I pick you up back on that one before I keep going down the line? Because it says the official website, but Counselor Kohler just made the comment, and I agree, that not everybody has one, and we don't require it. So that's an if they've got one.
I would say any websites and social media pages need to be open to the public and not require friending or joining in order to access posts.
There we go. What you said.
What she said.
Okay. Simplify. All right. Counselor Christopher, did you have anything?
Did we resolve on?
Microphone, please.
Microphone? You have a
I'm
way up high.
microphoning it. Oh.
There you go.
Did we resolve
two.
on 2274 whether we want suggested manner that adheres to ADA or required? Which is that going to go through? That's the one that Joe read to us and
Right on.
said it needs to be one or the other.
Oh, suggested or required.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion for that.
A suggestion for city suggested?
I have a suggestion for the suggestion.
Okay.
For the wording, because I agree with you. And I think this needs to be flexible to align with where the city is in our ADA compliance process. So might we say, minutes shall be taken, blah, 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 but it's in a, compatible with city-required ADA.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
it changes, it goes along with it. So
Yeah.
we're not having to adjust.
No,
Just say-
that's good, Joe.
No, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So let's simplify that.
That's all I had.
Okay. Counselor Duran, did you have anything?
Well, I was just noticing that we did have a request about the time, and that's what I was getting at with the 2.275. The proposed January to February timeframe for the annual report.
Oh,
So I'm just wondering if we want to go over that. I know we went over it quite a bit, but do we want to allow them a little more
Here it is.
time? It's because,
We did, I thought we said March.
like, in here, it says February 28th.
Oh, see, I thought we said.
here's her letter.
And she just asked for into March. January to March.
And this was tied to the budget request, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to hear that.
Yep, so,
Those two don't care.
so we have one person that's asked for a little more time. I mean, do we want to go over that again, or, I know we went over it quite a bit, but I just wanted to
Madam
bring
Mayor.
that to the attention.
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Lindsay?
Thank you. Part of that is the very bottom of page 47. where there's going to be a annual joint session in March. And so I think that's why we asked for them to get their stuff together for it.
That's right. Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Joe for the win.
thank you.
Yep. Yeah, because I think.
Gotta take them where I can get them.
We were trying to line up the neighborhood associations are going to get their reporting. We're going to have the joint work session, so we all are ready to have that conversation. And then go to the budget requests, and that goes to the budget committee, but they'll have all that background material to reference to. Is that the timeline that you all remember?
Now that we're, yes.
Yeah.
It's-
Now that he told
Now
us.
that it's,
It was a
Yeah,
while
I
ago.
totally remember it, yeah.
Okay,
Can I do follow-up?
yes, okay. And anything else,
Follow-up?
Counselor
Yeah.
Duran?
So do we need it ahead, 2 weeks ahead of our meeting, or can they turn it in before the meeting?
Their
Can they,
annual report?
yeah, the annual report, can it be turned in?
228,
Okay, that's what it needs to be?
that's what it says.
Okay, I'm just seeing if there's any more time we can give them.
I think what I hear you saying is that at least 2 weeks before our joint work session.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah,
So we'd
that
have time.
might give them an extra week, or not?
Yeah,
oh, they need to come and do their report to us a
In
minimum of
March.
2 weeks before our work session.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm just asking, can we give them a little more time? Is there a leeway in there some places?
I'm
I don't
good with
know.
that.
I'm
Do
just,
you need it? Two say no.
we only have one that says it, so we'll just leave it the way it is.
Oh, wait, what is Pauline?
Yeah, Southeast is here.
Well, and so is, Mary Ann is here.
There's Mary Ann. So we have Southeast and Northwest,
Everybody but Pat.
Greater Northeast and West are all here. So are you good with February 28th? Noted, okay, sorry. So we're talking about the date we would like to have the report submitted. They may not have, the annual report submitted, you may not have had your oral presentation at the city council, because that depends on our scheduling, but to have the written one submitted by February 28th. Gubser is asking for a little more time. Is February 28th generally, pretty comfortable for all y'all?
Yes.
I'm getting yes,
You got four.
We got 4.
okay.
4 yeses.
4 out of 5 agree,
Okay.
Sorry, Patty.
so.
Yep.
All right, so I think it's fair to bring up the question. Okay, Counselor Duran, anything else? So I've got one, and thank you for bringing up the question, Mr. Lindsay, about,
Now, where did it go?
here it is, it's 2.274E, about the in-person meetings shall be held at the event center, using owl and so forth. But it's the regular meetings of the association board. So are we talking about the board meetings prior to the association, the monthly meetings that are open to that are the public presentations? Which one are we talking about here?
Yeah, this needs to be cleaned up. I'm confused.
Yeah, we didn't want board on that.
Right.
We didn't want board, we were gonna take board off, just the regular meetings of the association.
That's what we talked about.
That's what Rhonda said.
Well, the reason,
Joe's suggestions.
right, and the reason I brought that up is because the original placement of that was intentional. When we originally put that into this ordinance, it was that the desire that the board meetings as well as the general meetings be held in a publicly accessible place. There was that, I remember that conversation, so.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Lindsay.
if you look at D, that does talk about their annual general meeting, which I would understand that the association board could meet even more than that, but that also does call out time, place, date, and publicized.
That's not what I'm talking about. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the board meetings. Because I remember.
There's the weekly or the monthly meeting, and then there's the board meeting. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. And I remember that was intentionally placed in there at one point to have the board meetings in a place where, other community members within that neighborhood association could attend and listen in, and so forth, that they be accessible or publicly available. That's what I remember from that. And my recollection is that it was intentional. If we want to change that, that's fine,
But you're saying both,
but I'm saying that
meetings and board meetings.
I am.
Yeah.
It was not a typo.
Yeah, I agree.
Is what I'm trying to say, Mr. Lindsay, because I remember we worked really hard on this conversation, but if we want to have a change, I think we have to have a conversation.
So Madam Mayor, are you saying item E should read something along the lines of, if I hear what you're saying, and I think if I think what you're saying and what I'm hearing, I agree. Regular meetings of the neighborhood association and the association's board shall be held at a publicized date, time, and place. The in-person meeting shall be held at the event center, utilizing the OWL for any online participation if requested. All association meetings and board meetings shall be open to the public. All members present may vote on issues with the results recorded separately for both the votes of the association and the association board. So I think what we're asking for are both entities to be public, both entities to be accessible to the public, the association meetings, right, which are open to the entire neighborhood held here, and then the votes of both the association and the association board should be tracked and documented separately. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
And, where I go a little bit sideways here is that, all in-person meetings would be held here. Because there are publicly accessible places within the neighborhoods, such as the public schools, which have been used in the past, which are really accessible, within neighborhoods. And I would not want to rule out having meetings in publicly accessible places.
But then how would they utilize the OWL for the online participation?
Well, and that is the second part of my comment, is we're being very specific on our technology in an ordinance. And I think that we need to be more general, because the OWL may be gone tomorrow, we have another system. So I think that we need a more generic term for utilizing, AV,
Whatever the city uses.
yeah, AV accessible technology, because somebody may own their own. That would allow them to do that. But I think that, I think putting a specific technology into an ordinance is too narrow.
Then I would say city-provided technology.
Or similar technology
Or similar, yeah.
Because, yeah, I don't necessarily want to advocate for the city technology to be taken off-site. So.
No.
But if somebody.
However we want to word that.
Right.
Can we do give a generic, whatever the generic name for the OWL is, or similar.
Yeah, just audiovisual
AV
technology.
Yes.
Yeah. So similar to the conversation we had earlier about making sure that we're not tying ourselves that something will become outdated.
Isn't the intention though to keep them
Yes.
on site, like all the committees?
Mm-hmm. That was the conversation.
That's what I thought too.
But the board meetings are a little less formal.
Yes, they are. And so if they have a publicly accessible place for board meetings that's within the neighborhood and is publicized time, manner, and place, and there's technology, if they so choose to do it, and they don't have to, why not?
What if radical idea here. What if we add a letter and we do one that talks about the board meetings?
Bing, bing.
And we do another one that talks about the general neighborhood association meetings. That way I know what we were trying to do them together, but radical idea to separate them and give each one their own letter.
Yep.
Easier to adjust down the road if
Yes.
we needed changes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Any other changes? And I think this is going to go back for another iteration.
Yeah, too many adjustments.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good job, team.
And thank you to our neighbor associations for being here and continuing to provide input in this, the process of updating this ordinance. Okay. Let's go then to item 9C, ordinance relating to acquisition of property interest, amending Keizer Code, Chapter 2, Article 7. City Manager?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. City Attorney Lindsay has this item.
I do.
Mr. Lindsay?
So, this goes back to 86. So get in the flux capacitor or whatever that is. Go back in time. So this is, a way in which it used to be done that real property had to go through. It was, only planning, our public works is more parks oriented now. Our public works also is participating a lot in the easements and various dedications that actually happen. And so we tried to just clean this up as a way of how we actually do tend to accept property. So now if it's going to be one that's going to be accepted as a park, it'll go through the parks advisory process. If it's non-park property, it'll go through city planning and public works. And then if it is, there's still a carve out for when the public's, it's called the public works exception, when it's easements and or just quick grants, dedications for sewer, sidewalk, that sort of thing, then those aren't that special. You know, developers do that per usual. And so the review there will be by the Public Works Director and myself, or my position, and then can be signed off after a review of that, so. Those are sort of the modernizing of the acceptance of property.
All right, thank you very much. Questions? Kohler? Council President Starr? Council Christopher? Councilor Duran? I have two. Section 2.2-229, Keizer Parks and Recreation Advisory Board Review. My question has to do with, if an application is being submitted for property to be used as a park, application shall be submitted to the Parks and Recreation Board, okay, for review and approval. And here's my question, a couple lines down. If the board, and I'm assuming this is the Parks and Recreation Board, determines that the application is complete, it shall submit a written report with its findings of facts and conclusions. My question is that completion of application, completeness, feels to me like a staff function to ensure every box is checked, all of the proper documentation is there. And what I think the role of the Parks Board is to look at this particular part recommendation in relation to the entire Parks Master Plan. If it's an area that has 5 parks and we have a need in another area for a park, I think they need to look at the overall master plan. How is this compliant with the overall master plan? And how is this going to work with the needs, the cost of maintenance, amenities, development, and so forth within the overall Parks Master Plan? So I think that I'd like to see that clarified to distinguish between the two roles. I don't think the Parks Board is the one to do the actual determination of completeness.
Okay, so if I could wordsmith, so instead of saying complete, it would be if the board determines that the application is consistent with the Parks Master Plan and budgetary concerns?
Not even budgetary, that's not their role.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought I had heard that.
Well, and I was kind
Part
of
of that
talking
was-
through that, yes. Where they're looking at the overall CIP, where we're going to be making investments and so forth, and looking at our entire system. The Parks Board has the view of the people of Keizer there going, well, adding this park with the required then amenities and so forth, upkeep and so forth, is this the best use of city resources at this time, or looking further? I mean, I know there's folks that think that all parks land is good parks land. I think that, well, as we looked at our CIP, however, looking at the parks deserts that have been identified within our master plan, the strategic recommendations from the Parks Board would be well considered. So I'd like to see this part reworked so it's clear about who's got what role in this process, to have the Parks Board do what they're designed to do. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
And so consistency with Parks master planning and, you know, greater systemic park,
Park system considerations?
yeah.
Something like that. And I've got just one more.
And Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, there is also, just so people know, there are these processes. If there was something that was a very quick turnaround idea, or some sort of, somebody really wants to bequeath it really fast or whatever, there is the purchase exception at the bottom of page 54 that does allow you guys to override these as well, just so you know.
And thank you for bringing that up, because that was my next question.
Uh-huh.
Under what circumstances would the city council, jump ahead and engage in what's it called? A purchase exception?
Yeah.
And it says, quote, negotiating directly with the property owner. We don't do that.
No,
But it doesn't make,
it's just the power
I
to
just
do it.
really question putting into ordinance where it doesn't make sense that the city council would then authorize a purchase, not going through the process of procurement, looking at the costs, looking at our public works, our parks master plan and other considerations, and go, gee, this feels good, let's just go do it. I know that's not how we operate. So if we're trying to reflect how we actually operate, I would feel a lot much more comfortable with something that doesn't have, let's see, what was the actual language here? Sorry, I got off my page. May negotiate directly or through an official, city official or a designated agent, good with that, to purchase value property to be used for public purpose without using the procedures set forth in this article. I'm uncomfortable with that. So what procedures are we bypassing? It just says, do not pass go, do not collect $200. I'd like some clarity about what we do need to do, what requirements that would still be in place, rather than say, go ahead and do whatever you want. I mean, we're all very smart people, but I don't feel comfortable with something being that loose and not really considering the cost, the land, procedures, land use, other things that might be considerations that we do have to take into account.
I would say there are provisions under law that there are requirements that, the statutes and such for usually the sale of property, but so I mean, there is sort of some things baked in law, but this has, I guess, been on the books since '86, and I'm not sure you guys have ever used it, so I'm not sure if you need it or not. It's just there as another power, I guess. So it's easy to take it out if people don't want that power.
I'm good with it coming out. I mean, if we've never used it, we've always gone through process. Go, Counselor Christopher, do you have a? Yeah.
The only thing I'm thinking of is, the only thing I'm thinking of is the way that we acquired a lot of the land for Keizer Rapids. I don't think it went through extensive processes. Thank you.
That was back then.
Well, this is 86.
Yeah. Well, it went through a lot of process, though.
No, not the actual purchase of the land.
Really? Okay, that was before my time.
Yeah, so some of it did, because I was on that task force. Some of it did, but most of it not at the beginning, no.
That's right.
No process. But I don't think that would ever happen again.
I don't either, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
And this is 86, so yeah.
it's been a minute. Mr. Brown?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. The one example that comes to mind of recent acquisition was for the Utah property. And that one is one where we didn't necessarily follow this existing process. It was a council decision.
that is exactly right.
Didn't adhere to a specific plan that was exempt yet.
It
but-
did.
That's exactly right.
Well, remember, we always had the goal of completing this campus. That was actually a stated policy that we'd had since we did this campus.
At the same time, I
Yeah.
don't think we went through an extended process. We had a chance to grab the land because of that,
Right.
and we did.
So is there a way to
The other,
talk about this, the language in this one? And yes, I agree with that, but we did go through our due diligence. There were pieces that had to
The
happen.
legal pieces, yes.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
the policy pieces.
Mr. Brown?
the other part in there, it doesn't really speak to my role in this. I suppose it's kind of silent since it's departments that underneath or that are report to me, but ultimately, it would probably need to, it probably should cross my desk. And that doesn't really specifically say it in here, so that might be something I suggest we work on. And
Yeah, the phrase that's got me is the city council may negotiate directly. And I'm like, whoop,
No, it needs staff.
yeah.
yeah, that's,
Through a city official, I mean, take that phrase out, through a city
Appropriate
official or
staff.
designated agent to purchase value, da-da-da-da. I'm a little more comfortable with that, but taking out that, where if the seven of us are gonna sit down and go, okay, I wanna go buy that property,
No, it needs to,
we've gotta work with staff on that.
yeah,
Well, who's the city official?
it doesn't.
Well, it's usually, Mr. Brown is the,
Right.
he's the contracting agent for the city.
So why wouldn't we say that?
Why wouldn't we say city?
City manager or
We could,
designee,
we could.
yeah,
Because
Rather than city official?
yes,
Yeah.
I like that. And he has the power to
Appropriate-
designate.
Appropriate staff, depending on
Right.
what it is.
Well, if city manager,
It's always gonna go
or
city
designee,
Yeah.
so he would then assign based on the functionality.
I could see maybe where, the planning department may, may be involved a little bit, but I guess that can be that's under the city manager anyway, so.
Yeah. Thank you, I feel much better with that change.
All right.
Okay, anything else? All right,
So I took out the word directly or, and just, now it says, the city council may negotiate through the city manager or designee to purchase. So that's that change.
Yeah.
And then, earlier, instead of the word, the board determines that the application is complete, I crossed out complete and I said, the application is consistent with the parks master plan and greater park system considerations.
I like it.
Okay.
Okay.
So that would be your as amended if you wanted to vote on it now.
I feel much better about that. Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you
yeah.
for everybody for your patience with that. Anything further? Ready for a motion? Council President Starr.
I move that the Keizer City Council adopt ordinance 2026. Okay, wait a minute, pause. Is that what I'm amending? Or am I gonna say, should I say amending Keizer Code Chapter 2, Article 7 as amended?
That second part.
That's what I'm gonna,
Yeah.
okay. Take two. I move the Keizer City Council adopt ordinance 2026 relating to acquisition of property interests, amending Keizer Code Chapter 2, Article 7 as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt ordinance 2026 relating to acquisition of property interests, amending Keizer Code Chapter 2, Article 7 as amended. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. At this time, we are going to take a 10-minute recess. We will be right back.
Thank you.
regular session. It is August 3rd, 2026. We are on agenda item 9D, Keizer Sports Field Management. Oh my goodness. I will say it again. My time, I did it this time. Okay, let's put it on the microphone this time. Reconvening the Keizer City Council in regular session, Monday, August 3rd, 2026. We are on agenda item 9D, Keizer Sports Fields Management. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. We're going to talk about the what's currently known as the Keizer Little League Park or the baseball softball park, and as well as the sports fields at Keizer Rapids Park. So we've got two parks, two beautiful parks that many cities would be envious to have. And the synthetic turf fields, the soccer, baseball, or soccer, football, rugby, lacrosse fields at Keizer Rapids Park are currently being run by the remnants of KCFA, the Keizer Community Fields Association. In full disclosure, the remnants of them are Mid-Valley Soccer representatives. They have had interest in people filling the rest of the officer positions and additional seats on their board, but they've been in a holding pattern since June, when they said, if it's in the best interest of the city to hand it off to have the same operating group, then they would do that. Otherwise, they would go forward if you told them to do the same. So, and then the Keizer Little League Park is currently run by the Sports Facilities Companies, which is a contract that was awarded in January of this year. One of the things I want to add up front is, regardless of the direction we go, we have some capital needs, and that is a utility vehicle and a commercial mower. We anticipated that we'd have 2 zero-turn mowers, and one of them was working, and then the other one we tried to get working, or our previous operator tried to get working, tried a couple different engines, and it just was not salvageable. So we got a price of a similar aged one that was working on a market like eBay or Facebook Marketplace, so we could have a comp value for it. And we received the check today, actually, for the value of that, a working but used mower of the same kind. So we have that to work towards getting another one. So what we have done, and when I say we, all the people around the dais here that are not city council members, the executive leadership team have brainstormed this at least twice together. I think maybe more times, and then in smaller groups. But we have brainstormed different operations, many different ways to operate both of these parks. Looked at what we're currently doing, looked at possible ways to run it, either both of the parks, including unpopular past attempts that we've used. We left nothing off the table to be looked at. We've met with a lot of partners. We've met with a lot of our customers, community leaders, advocates, and naysayers, again, to consider all options. The goal is, what is the best way to provide amazing recreation facilities for our community to be able to use as best as possible. So that's what we're striving for. And so today, what we're asking is if and how we continue our relationship with the sports facilities companies who've been operating our baseball and softball park for the past 7 months. And if I'm not mistaken, we should have Josh online on our Zoom call. So if you have questions for the sports facilities companies, Josh was kind enough to join the call. So the options today that we're requesting is, the first option is something we requested they draw up, and it was called the furlough option. And that was, we'd They would focus on managing the synthetic turf fields at Keizer Rapids Park until March, and then they'd continue with the baseball and softball park, as well as the Keizer Rapids Park. Option 2 with them is to continue to operate the baseball and softball park and at the fields at Keizer Rapids Park. And then, not labeled that, but option 3 is have city staff run both parks. And then the 4th is discontinue the relationship with sports facilities and explore backup options from other operators. And I'm happy to speak to conversations we've had with the contingency of the contingency. So, let me run through those 3 options. The first one being the furlough, then the continuation with them, and then the staff model, and show you the financial projections that we did for each of them. So under the furlough model, the city would keep the general manager under contract to run the synthetic turf fields at Keizer Rapids Park. And I did talk with Josh about them also doing maybe some administrative work under that. For instance, they implemented a new scheduling system out at the baseball softball park, and we wouldn't want to try to create a new scheduling system. We'd like to use what they have set up if we are going to continue a relationship with them. So he said things like that could probably be worked out. Under this furlough example, they just didn't want their manager or staff doing work out there that like mowing or stuff that might be require insurance to them to maintain insurance at that facility. But under this situation, in the background, SFC would continue to book business for 2027 summer play, tournament rights, and leases for tournaments. In March of 2027, they would be back to full staff, and they've agreed not to charge their management fee for a 1-year period. They have agreed to not charge it. They have requested that they give opportunity later in the contract to earn it back. So they put an example out there of if they, exceed their goals, they might split some revenues. So whatever you direct us to go, come back with you, because it would have to be an amendment to their current agreement. We could figure out what that looks like. But what we would want to do is make sure that we recoup our fees or the investment that we've put into it. They actually have not collected a management fee or paid themselves since April of this year. So they have put their own skin in the game. They've been on their own dime for June and May and June and July. So the future management fee would be at $10,000 a month, which is a significant concession. They were at $16,000 and it escalated as the contract went on. But under both of these scenarios, they've said they'll reduce their management fee to $10,000 per month. City staff under this condition would have to figure out how to run the baseball softball park in the fall, which would include all of the maintenance, mowing, trimming, preparation for games, and that is not a small task in our minds, because we don't necessarily have that skill set on staff right now. But we would work, and we have passionate people in the community that I believe would be willing to step up and help in that case. Again, other people in the community that I've had conversations with over the last couple months, and I would add them to you. What I would say about you is all of you care deeply about these parks, and I have felt that in individual conversations with you, that you want these to be successful, and you're looking for ways for it to be successful, and I appreciate that. Under both these scenarios, we would review the progress in July of 2027, so in 1 year. And so that's the furlough option. The math that it works out to is we would need $65,867 to get through the remainder of this year. And then, or actually that is to cover last year's operation needs. And then 190,000, plus the 40,000 is for the gator and mower. I think we can do under that, but there was a couple of small projects that they put in the capital plan too that we might be able to tackle also with that. When we add in the revenue from the Keizer Rapids Park, that puts that goal much more attainable, faster to break even. But at the same time, that means we're not putting away money for the sinking fund too. So it is a zero-sum game. So option 2 is to keep this sports facilities company and add Keizer Rapids Park to their fields. And they would continue as they are now, managing the baseball softball park, adding the other 2 fields across town to their portfolio. Same as the previous situation in the background, SFC would be scheduling, booking out the summer of 2027, securing tournament rights and leases for tournaments. The management fee for the remainder of the 5-year contract would be reduced to $10,000 a month. There'd be no break in service. Staff would not have to figure out how to run the park for the fall of this year. And same as before, we would review it in 2027, July 2027, to see how their progress is going. So under this condition, we actually fare a little bit better. This does also give them a full year to prove themselves. It's been mentioned here, they did not have much time to get started. Maybe they should have said, give us a warning that, hey, this is going to be difficult to meet these goals this late in the season. But they aggressively went in to try to do as many improvements to the park as they could, expecting that the commitments they had for the tournaments would pay off. But as we all know, the tournaments backed out. So this one focuses, or we fare a little bit better in this the first year, but in longer years, there is a cost. Again, when we throw the Keizer Rapids Park revenue in there, we get to a net positive. In both of these options, though, we also could consider the Keizer Rapids Park as part of the capital plan. And if the council goes down the road of either a tourism promotion area or a transient occupancy tax, we could put that Keizer Rapids Park facility in the replacement plan for that designated funding. So. And then the third option is city staff running the recreation parks. We would give SFC notice that the city will pick up operation and discontinue their services. We would need to hire staff to support operations of both parks. We've cost that out, and Public Works, in talking with their staff, Robert Johnson has figured out how they would make the adjustments within their department. They wouldn't necessarily say, here's 4 people just for this park. They would make sense making changes with what they have to add some responsibilities here, take away some here, new person. So they have a staffing plan that they feel comfortable with, but it does cost money. And we are, unfortunately, the most expensive way to run the parks because of our benefits and our retirement costs. It simply just drives up the cost. And so you can see the total cash need under this situation is far greater than the other previous two examples. And we could get through, if we could get through the first couple of years, it gets close to running even. The capital plan in there, again, is based on forecasts that SFC did for improvements that need to happen, but that could be spaced out over the 5-year period. And I think I included that capital plan in the agenda items for your review. But the flexibility is, we got a 1 year in the year 4 there, we're $85,000 under that. The flexibility is within that capital plan to do that. In that year, I think did include paving some of the walkways in between the fields. So neither this or any of the previous examples include the transient occupancy tax funding or TPA if the council chose to go either one of those. And the reason it's not included is because you haven't made that decision yet and haven't had that discussion yet. So we do anticipate, though, we would definitely have a learning curve as staff to bring the talent on that knows those things, and then to learn the business ourselves. So in July of 2027, we would evaluate and report back to you, at which time we'd ask the council to make a decision to continue or to cease operations. If we went through option 1 or option 2, the backup plan to that would be to default to the staff funded, or the staff, I'm sorry for the typo there, I just I noticed that, but we would default to the staff model that was run. Now, the option 4 is the is we don't like 1, 2, or 3. And as I said to you earlier, I've worked on contingencies of the contingencies, had conversations. If you decide tonight that you don't like any of those 3 options, the furlough, the keeping them on as they are, the staff, city-run operation, then we can open up the conversations with the other parties who I've continued and actually had much more communication with over the last 4 months. And again, parties that have applied, expressed interest before, and would still have an interest. They've confirmed that they would still be interested in doing it. So with that, our recommendation is to keep the Sports Facilities Company on and to pick up the Keizer Rapids fields and schedule evaluation by the council in July of 2027.
All right. Okay, we're going to start going through questions, and I've been picking on Councilor Parsons, so Councilor Duran, can I start at your end? And we'll make a couple of rounds, and please remind me to loop in Councilor Cross. Thank you.
I don't have any yet.
Okay, we'll circle back. Councilor,
How much was the management fee a month?
So we were, this year it's been 16,000
Okay,
a month, and they would be reducing it to $10,000. It was 16,000 for the first year, and it's in the attachment on the packet, but I believe it went up like $500 or $1,000 each year.
yeah.
and how much is the GM fee each month?
For just the general manager, I think is about $7,500 a month.
So that's, so if we keep them on, if we choose, was that option 2?
Mm-hmm.
If we choose option 2 to keep them on, we don't pay the $10,000. They're going to forgive that for a year, for 12 months.
They forgave it under the furlough option. but
Oh.
not the continuation option where they
Oh,
run both
okay.
fields.
10,000 would pay the 7,500. Yeah.
Okay, so no forgiveness for option 2, okay. And then when is it anticipated, what's the life expectancy of the turf, at the turf fields? So when do we need money to replace that turf?
So, earliest would be 8 years, because we're 2 years into it, and the general lifespan is 10 to 12 years. So probably at the earliest, 8 years.
Okay, so are we thinking that this, and we currently have a 5-year contract with these folks?
Yes.
SFC? So we're thinking at the end of 5 years, we've put enough money into that park, and they're more familiar with it, and they can stand alone. So starting with the 6th year, so 6, 7, and 8, we'd be able to put 3 years of funds from the turf fields back into a sinking fund to replace the turf.
That would be a realistic goal in my mind, too.
So, and the other question is, we talked a lot about aesthetics and the park not looking shabby. In the $65,000 operating, I forgot what you called it. Does that include, I mean, the front of the park looks overgrown, uncared for, and shabby. So it just looks bad. It doesn't look like a park that is loved. And I think, was it the Corbin guy? Or I forgot, one of the folks that we talked with said, oh no, I think it was Luke, who said, that's like an $8,000 fix. So.
Yeah, we actually, Director Blaylock and I met with Will this afternoon, and they are going to walk the property, and I mentioned one of the front where you and I were at during on that volunteer night 2 weeks ago, about the stuff that just needed to come out.
Yeah.
And Director Blaylock was thinking along the same lines that I was, that a project like that, our staff might be able to knock out in a day. And
well, come on.
During the winter months when we've got a lot of other things going on, but they might find an opening to knock something like that out.
Okay, and so if we go with option 2 included the backup plan, because we did not ever expect that we'd be here where we are. We believed everything they told us, and there was not going to be any promoters walk out on us, and we were going to make $400,000 in the snack shack. So none of that occurred. So I am not opposed to, I think they've only had 7 months. And I was one of those people who, I remember how that park looked. And so I expected a lot more, probably unrealistically, in this short period of time. I'll admit. Shaney kicked my butt and reminded me that it was only 7 months, and let's give them, I mean, it's been neglected for quite a long time. I'd say 10 years, probably. More?
Yeah.
So, saying all that, I would not be opposed with staying with them, providing that we all agree that we get a backup plan in place so that we're not caught with our pants down again, wondering, what are we going to do? So that we know, okay, if this doesn't work, we're immediately going to this. So how long would it take you to put together, not a completely fleshed out plan, but a pretty good plan of this is how it looks if the city took over, and this is what we use for seasonals, or here's what we use for temps, that type of thing? How long would it take for that for you to put something together like that?
So we have that plan. With the exact
great.
personnel needed. It would just be the time we need to hire it.
Okay.
Recruit, so.
Okay. So we would see that, because we didn't see it tonight, but we would see what the backup plan is.
Yeah, I can share it with,
share
it with you.
Okay. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councilor Christopher so eloquently said, I was passionate about reminding people, and I even sat in a meeting with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Brown and emphatically reminded people that sports facilities had only been on the job, so to speak, for 6 months. And we were, frankly, I thought we were, people were being too dogmatic and expecting the park to be in a pristine condition after years of neglect. And I asked people to give them a chance. And I have always maintained that I didn't think 6 months was a fair chance for them, given the unexpected things that they found when they took over, the unexpected business practices of people that they had contracts with. And so I've been a cautious champion and cheerleader, if you will, for giving sports facilities complex a chance. I think that when you have an entity that is willing to make the concessions in their business practice, in their business plan, and their business projections that SFC has brought forward, to me, that is a company that cares about this community and cares about making good on their and our, frankly, vision for what those fields can be. And I think that from my perspective, it shows me that Sports Facilities Complex has skin in the game. And in the conversations that I've had with them about the operations, I have seen that they really do want to make this work. And we have given over the years, and granted, I was not one of those people who were here back in the day when the park was pristine. But I do know that we have given past operators of the park more than 6 months. And I think for us to do anything other than continue to give them a chance is not a good business move on our part. And we can see the math in the staff report, and we can see the math in the charts that were shared. I think maybe some lessons that we have learned, or to always have a plan B, right? Always have a plan B in our back pocket. And then I would always err on the side of being a little less optimistic in our projections than what we did, right? When I would have to write a fundraising budget, I always took it down about 20% from what I thought what we could raise, whether it was in events, whether it was in grants, what have you. I took it down 20%. Because you just never know. And frankly, that saved our bacon in COVID when we couldn't do anything. So I am appreciative of Sports Facilities coming to the table with option 1 and option 2. I personally would like to see us go with option 2 with a few different caveats added in. One, I would like a report out every other month, at a minimum. I think that, and then I would ask that we raise the alarm bells earlier than maybe what we've raised in the past, when they've been raised in the past. I just want a report out every other month. I don't want a contract review every other month. I want to know, I want to see what we've done. I want to see what we've booked. I want to see what those financial projections are. I think that that's just good business sense from us. And I trust our staff and the partnership that they have with SFC to have those tough conversations more frequently and asking and really looking at things from worst case scenario, because if you plan for the worst, you can be pleasantly surprised, right? It's under promise and over deliver. I think that that is probably the biggest lesson that we've learned. So, Josh, I know you're on the phone. I want to say thank you for your team with SFC sharpening your pencils and sharpening them again and sharpening them again. And I appreciate and have confidence that you will keep sharpening them as we can, if we're able to continue working with you, that you will keep sharpening those pencils month after month and really figuring out how do we get to a win-win for you, for our community, and most importantly, for our kids and the families that are using the park, because that's why we have invested so much time, passion, and money, quite frankly, is to give our children and our youth top of the line, Class A recreation facilities and getting them outdoors and getting them exercising. So I want to thank you, Josh, and your team. I want to thank our executive leadership team, Mr. Brown, Mr. Lindsay, Mr. Wood, everyone for putting our heads together and coming up with multiple options that hopefully will get us to a win-win. And so with that, I am offering my support for option 2.
Thank you, Council President Starr. I'm going to go to Councilor Cross, since I'm kind of coming down the line here. Councilor Cross. Keep your hand up.
Hi, thank you for that. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I would agree with Council President Starr with the option 2. I think that there's been lots of learning moments that have been repeated. Adam, I sent you an email earlier from Colin at CFC with the rates that were implemented, and just to catch up everybody else on council, Nick did reply to me and the new rates were given to Colin, but he hadn't budgeted for it. I just really want to make sure that there's some hand holding with all of that. I mean, there's been some relationships, with our learning curve that we want to make sure that when these new rates or whatnot, that we are explaining and really communicating and making sure that those key relationships are intact. So whatever that looks like with us moving forward, that new rates and that our community partners are very well overly communicated with.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What an interesting discussion tonight. One of the things that I heard, we talked just briefly about, Mr. Brown, was you'd received another offer, another suggestion of how the field could be run the rest of this year if we were doing it. There was with Mr. Campbell and also with Mr. What's your name, Clint? Those two things I don't think I've seen here really.
No, and those were, again, the other options that I spoke of. If you guys decide that we don't want to go that direction, then the other option is Mr. Campbell is offered from Foundation Athletics to run that. I don't think he's interested in just running it short-term during the furlough period. I think his interest is in to run it permanently, but that is an option that the council has. He communicated to me that one of the problems with the challenges to overcome is that he runs North Salem Cal Ripken League, which would be originally 2 years ago when we were looking at that, he was looking for a home, in his own words, for that club, and his intent was to play there. The communication I received from them last week, he said that Foundation Athletics would run it and that he would continue to run the North Salem Cal Ripken at the fields where he's currently running them. So that, he did communicate that he would need some startup money in the range of $50,000 to $75,000. I don't have a long-term plan, but he said it would likely fall similar to the plan that they set up 2 years ago. So.
Follow-up?
Thank you. So what was his plan to coordinate the usage of the field with our existing leagues that we have here?
So he said he would work with Todd Walling to bring back the tournaments to our field, and that he said he would honor the home leagues of Keizer Little League and McNair Youth Baseball for the normal weekly use, supplemented by tournament use.
Follow up again. So the fall ball and such that he's taking care of the fields for the rest of this year. I mean, there's not a lot of tournaments probably that are going to be held during that time. What did you mean? What did he mean with he was going to work with Mr. Walling on tournaments? That would be next year and wouldn't be a part of his agreement. Is that correct?
Well, he told me that if he would work with Todd Walling, and Todd Walling was willing to work with him to bring tournaments back to our park. That could be fall ball as well as next year.
Okay. So if we took it over as a city and had someone like Mr. Holland working and hired some landscape type people to do that for the rest of this year, would that not be cost effective for us?
I worked with Clint a lot over the last couple of weeks. We've been out there a lot over the last couple of years. And I think Clint can definitely be an asset in helping us with some, he's particularly gifted at being able to get some donations of services out there and directing some work out there. I mean, if we had to figure out how to get the way through the fall, then I would definitely use Clint to whatever extent he'll allow me to use him. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Parsons?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Shaney kind of spoke all my words, but I really think that option 2 really is right now is our best way to go, and it's great that we have the other options available to return to if it doesn't work out. I appreciate, Josh, the fact that you guys did this and lowered your fee and really penciled this in. I think you believe in those fields as I believe in those fields, and I know we can bring them back. And it's just going to take time and patience, but I would be in support of option 2. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions. I don't want to belabor the point. One of the things I think I heard in the presentation is that if the city ran it, it was a recreation-only model, not trying to do tournaments and other marketing because that's a much higher intensity of use. Did I hear that correctly?
I didn't intend to convey that. I mean, as a city, I think it would be difficult to get in that space quickly, but long-term, that is the way to fund that type of park. So
Right.
I would fully intend, if we were operating long-term, that we would want to be attracting
tournament, as much tournament play as we could
Right.
to supplement the local leagues.
Okay, thank you. And then, I also want to, pile on with everybody else. Thank you for the information in the staff report and the numbers in the financials. I think they were laid out really, really clearly. So all of us, in the community, who have not run parks, and that would be moi, can understand how this would work. So just so I'm really clear, with the furlough option, if we were to do that, and I'm not hearing that, one of the things that would stop is the ongoing improvements we've talked about, and Council President Starr pointed out, the work started in February to dive back deeply into that park and its facility. If we furloughed, it would just be take care of it until March and then try to hit it again to make additional improvements. So what I'm hearing in the option 2 is that it will continue the work of digging into that park, its needs, and be able to continue making repairs and improvements through the winter season, getting a bit of a head start in March. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yes, that would be a fair assessment.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Madam Mayor?
Yes.
And council, I didn't talk about this in the presentation, but Assistant City Manager Tim Wood came up with a great way to fund the continuation, and that was to use the money that is currently out of the synthetic turf fields, the $200,000, move that over to the baseball fields. We can borrow against the transportation fund to finish the phase 3 improvements. And because it's a capital project, we can borrow from that fund for a 5-year period, whereas otherwise we're restricted to 1 year. Did I say that correctly? So I think that was a pretty ingenious plan that he came up with to do it, make it happen.
Well, sharpening the pencils, I would absolutely agree, and looking for the opportunity where the funds are being invested in facilities that will be here for our kids, our grandkids, and it's going to bring visitors to our community. I know the chamber isn't physically in the building tonight, but we have chamber members and we have local businesses that are going to continue to benefit from the work that's being done out there. And I think it's way bigger than having the ball games out there, which are fantastic. But our local businesses, our small businesses, we're providing other space for business to happen. The food trucks that are out there, the people who do landscaping or provide materials. It's all local purchases, local businesses. And I love that we are part of lifting up our local economy. Are there any, actually, I would like to invite Josh. Thank you for being on the Zoom.
Can I remind you, it's 9 o'clock, we need
Oh,
to make a
Counselor,
motion.
yes. Pause.
I'd like to make a motion that we extend the meeting until the completion of our agenda tonight.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to complete the agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, signify by saying no. Okay, we're going to complete the agenda. Josh, thank you for being on tonight, and I'd like to open up the floor for you to tell us about what your thoughts are at this point.
I appreciate that and happy to be here. I have nothing additional to add to the conversation. I just wanted to be available if there were any questions that I could help answer tonight.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being on and all the work that's been done out the field.
Absolutely.
Council, I believe we're ready for a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back. Promised you. Yes. Councilor Duran.
Okay, thank you. So I liked what Councilor Christopher suggested about the backup plan. I think we need to be prepared, and I think we've got a lot of good information already, but I want to suggest that over the next year, we look at other options than what you proposed, which I would suggest be the backup plan, also an option using contractors for a lot of the stuff, because as we know, city employees, city you know, everything involved with employees in the city costs a lot of money. So if we can look at that, I would suggest, you know, contractors with staff overseeing all of it, as an option, you know, field and landscape management as a process of contractors looking at what that would cost, getting bids, you know, getting just some ballpark stuff so we can be prepared. Concession operations and also contract tournament management. So if we can make that work, you know, functionally somehow, and there may be some other options that we could look at as contractors. And then just having, you know, somebody on staff that, you know, oversees making sure all of that's coordinated. So that would just be my suggestion. So we can also have, you know, see what the cost doing that would be. That's it.
Okay.
Just another option.
Options are good. Council President Starr?
I'm going to put a motion on the table. Are we all good with a motion?
Let's do it.
Okay.
We're being very deliberative already.
We are. Okay, I move that the Keizer City Council direct staff to bring back an amendment to the agreement with sports facilities companies to continue operation of the baseball, softball park and Keizer Rapids Park under option 2.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that Keizer City Council direct staff to bring back an amendment to the agreement with sports facilities companies to continue operation with the baseball, softball park and the Keizer Rapids Sports Park.
Under
Sports field.
option 2.
Under option 2.
From
Just-
amendment. And to include.
Okay, yes, amendment. Yeah. Microphone, please.
And to include a backup plan, thank you. Thank you, I needed it right in front of me. To include a backup plan that would outline how the city would take over management of the park in any event that SFC is unable to fulfill their commitments.
I will accept.
I will accept.
Okay.
Any objection? Okay, motion is amended. Any further discussion? Council President Starr?
This is not a friendly amendment to the friendly amendment to my own motion, but I'm just asking that we calendar an every other month review.
Oh, yeah.
So, with consensus, that we just calendar that to happen, along with the other things that we talked about the under 20 less optimistic projections, so.
So we're all up to date?
Yes.
I'm going to, but thank you. Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council President Starr was really good to point out that this group had about 6 months worth of work on our field, and that our past operators, we gave them more time than that. But we also didn't give them $150,000 too. So most all the groups that handled that before, they were on their own to come up with any of the money or anything else that happened to make that park the way that it needed to be. So anyway, thank you.
Good point. Councilor Cross, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Nope, I think we all did a really good job of beating that one up.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no.
No.
Motion passes 6-1. The no is Councilor Kohler. All right, let's go on to item 9E, the recommendation of Internal Oversight Committee. Council President Starr.
All right, I think this goes to Mr. Brown and/or Mr. Lindsay.
Yeah, and if you don't mind.
Mr. Lindsay.
Council President, what I will do is, if you don't mind, at the risk of sounding a little boring, I just want to read the background and current situation section of the staff report, just so I'm not, shooting from the hip. and because it kind of goes through, I think, step by step, a little bit of how we got where we're at. So I will start by saying, we're here because at the city council meeting on June 15th of this year, during other business, Councilor Duran physically brought a complaint signed by himself and Councilor Lori Christopher to the dais for council consideration. In order to take up the matter in that way, the city council voted unanimously to suspend the rules and take up the matter. Next, a motion was moved and seconded to initiate an inquiry under Rule 16.1. It passed by a vote of 5 members of the council. Next, a motion was made to create a, quote, inquiry work group, AKA the Internal Oversight Committee. And I'm calling it that because that's what the 16.1 calls internal oversight. And it's the committee that's created out of there. In making the motion, Councilor Duran explained that he was suggesting himself, Council President Starr, and Councilor Christopher to be the 3 people on that. In explaining his motion, Duran said, quote, additionally, as I read it, 2 community members may be added to the inquiry work group if requested by the affected parties. The community members would be selected by the council members who were not involved in the inquiry, so that's how I understand that. Councilor Christopher seconded that motion for that makeup of that inquiry work group on the creation of it. And after some discussion and deliberation, 4 members, it was a 4 vote on that one, passed that motion. There was no request at that time by affected parties to add the community members. The Internal Oversight Committee itself had an accelerated timeline, and so they met 2 and 3 days later. So we had to notice it. So they met on, properly notice it with over 24 hours notice. So June 17th and June 18th. And those first 2 meetings were in open session where they hired an outside attorney to conduct an investigation into the allegations in the complaint. These involved rules 5, 15, and 16. Interviews of all involved were conducted in the 30 days allowed. And then the confidential workplace investigation report was then produced by the outside attorney and later presented to the Internal Oversight Committee during an executive session on July 22nd of this year. After the executive session was complete, in accordance with public meetings law, right, the Internal Oversight Committee went into open session like they have to make any decision, and to vote on the investigative findings in the report. That vote ended up being unanimous. It was a 3-0 vote. And so then under the rules, that triggered a certain reaction. So after unanimously voting to agree with the findings of misconduct in the report, the committee voted to recommend the sanction of a memorandum of concern to the city council at the next general city council meeting. According to 16.1, a memorandum of concern would require at least 4 member vote of the city council. And so that was the recommendation. The city council member in question, according to the rule, shall not take part in that discussion or the vote, as to this part of it either. So the current situation, Rule 16.1D states, if misconduct was found unanimously by the members of that committee, which it was, the committee would present the investigation conclusion, and that's the phrase or word that is used. So not the entirety of the report, but just the conclusion itself is what's called for if it's unanimous, to the council with a recommendation of those sanctions. So that's the recommendation that they voted on was for a memorandum of concern. Without mentioning any privileged material from what effectively was the executive session from June 1st, 2026, the investigation conclusion by the outside attorney investigator as to the 3 rules that were in question, 5.2, 15.1, and 16.1 are as follows. So this was the outside investigator's investigative conclusion. For one, it was the Rule 5.2, and this is quoted. Rule 5.2 provides guidance on how council members should act. Council members, quote, shall not engage in personal attacks, shall not impugn the motives of any speaker at any time and conduct themselves, or quote, conduct themselves in a manner appropriate with the dignity of their office. There are no definitions or examples of this conduct in the rules. As such, the investigator must rely on the plain meaning of the words. Attack means an act of physical or unfriendly words. So it doesn't have to be a physical attack, it can be unfriendly words. Impugn means to assail by words or argument, and dignity means worthy of honor or respect. Considering these definitions, the investigator finds that Mayor Clark violated Rule 5.2 in her conduct towards Councilor Kohler. For the second Rule 15.1 concerns the separation of responsibilities and roles. Members of the council are not permitted to interfere with the city manager or city staff in the day-to-day business of the running of the city. The rule prohibits council members from undermining the authority of the city manager or department director and limits inquiries to those that may be answered readily as part of the staff's daily duties. The investigator finds that Mayor Clark violated 15.1 when she contacted HR Director Keizer about her concerns regarding Councilor Kohler's comments. And then finally, for 3, the investigative conclusion was for Rule 16.1. Rule 16.1 concerns the procedure for instigating an informal inquiry or investigation to assure compliance with council rules and laws that govern public bodies. That is, in fact, what we're trying to follow in this whole process, too. If there is an allegation of misconduct by a council member, there are certain steps that must be taken before an inquiry or investigation may begin. The investigator finds that Mayor Clark's conduct did not rise to the level of inappropriately instigating an inquiry or investigation into Councilor Kohler. Those were all of the conclusions from the outside counsel, and those were what were voted on unanimously, so that the first 2 rules were voted on unanimously that she was in violation of those rules, and that the last rule of 16.1 not in violation of. Under 16.1, so now this is just an explanation of 16.1 for you guys tonight, which is under 16.1, the council shall vote on the committee recommendation at open session portion of the July 22 meeting. The Internal Oversight Committee voted unanimously to recommend a memorandum of concern. So that is the boring reading of those 2 sections, but I thought it was important to make sure that people understand. I will say, because I've had a lot of questions from the press has done a really good job of asking a lot of questions. And what is it with rules versus statutes versus ordinances? I think it's an important understanding to know that rules themselves, the charter says that the council shall have rules. It doesn't say anything else. And so you guys have rules because you shall have them, but the rules themselves are the province of the council. The council creates them, enforces them, can amend them from time to time, and even, as you guys do, can suspend them from time to time. So the rules really are the council's province to use and interpret the way that they see fit. So it really is, the reason we're here is because this is the council trying to enforce its own rules and how they interpret them. But in this regard, the committee wanted to use an outside counsel for objectivity, and so it didn't look like it was just a foregone conclusion of being allegedly charged with allegedly doing something. Didn't necessarily mean, like as you saw in this example, 16.1 was found to not be in violation. So.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Does anybody have questions? Well, before I go there, are there any other, before we take up the matter, Mr. Lindsay, are there any other recommendations that you have I have a couple of questions, but are there any recommendations for the council before we move forward?
Well, the first is, I didn't want to presuppose even how the vote was going to go. So my recommendation is, if we get 4 votes for a memorandum of concern, that this has not been drawn up yet. I did not want to presuppose anything. And so if we were to have those votes, then I would say direct me to go back, and I will do almost what you heard right there in paper form that says this is a memorandum of concern. So it's not going to be, shockingly different necessarily. You guys would be able to come back and still vote on that draft at the next meeting. And what I would recommend, Council President, is throughout this process, I've taken a look at 16.1 way too much. but in that process, because of it, I think there are opportunities to make it less onerous, more fair, and even to have slightly more process. So what I would say is the rule as it's written, and that's what we're following right now, says that, the person who's the allegations are against can't say anything, right? They can't participate in the discussion. My suggestion would be, after this vote, but before the actual memorandum is voted on next time, that would also give an opportunity for some of the accused to actually be able to make a statement if they wanted to, which might then potentially allow you guys to see it differently or tweak the draft or whatever it is. So that might appear to give, or would give, more process and have a fairness with it. The other thing I've been sort of mulling back and forth with folks is, should we always have an investigation? There is no section for, say, mediation in this. And so what I would like to see, or would suggest to the council in thinking about this, a 16.2 that would even have something like a mediation, because I know a lot of people in the public have said that they think that this wasn't worthy of time and expense necessarily. So that would at least give an option that would be, I know of organizations through counties and such where mediation can be cheap to free. So there would be something like that as well. So I think there's a way to get better and learn from having struggled through this, because I think this has been a learning, it's definitely been learning for me about going through something for the first time and trying to, see where a rule takes you. And so I think learning from it would be one of my recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. You answered one of my questions in regards to allowing Mayor Clark to make a statement, so thank you for that. One other question I have, and then I'll open it up to my colleagues, is around consistency in Councilor Kohler voting, I would say not voting on this matter, because he was not, did not vote in the original. So could you provide your recommendation on that?
Yeah, you guys started this by voicing that he was involved in that, and now we sort of see why with the conclusion of the investigation, and whether or not that in regular time, that would sort of seem to almost be a recusal type thing, right? That you're too close to it, or maybe a little biased or whatever. I won't answer to whether or not there's a level of bias that would keep him from voting, but I would say consistency in the way you came in, it might make sense to not have that vote. And I would just put it to Councilor Kohler how he feels about that too.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Kohler, I don't know if you need some time to think or if you want to respond to that. If you want to take a few minutes to think about what Mr. Lindsay's recommendation is, that's fine. Just let me know, and otherwise I'll open it up to my colleagues on the dais to ask questions of Mr. Lindsay related to the staff report.
Thank you, Council President Starr. I will be recusing myself from the vote on the memorandum of concern.
Great.
Mayor Clark has worked hard and has accomplished much for Keizer. However, since the meeting on June 6th, I have had a lot on my mind without discussing any part of the content of the executive session. I would like to say just a couple of things. The statements expressed by the mayor were out of line, inflammatory, and inappropriate in every way. After the meeting, and an attorney asked what I wanted to happen, I told him I was not interested in a pound of flesh, but rather I would like this to never happen again to either a counselor, a staff member, or a committee member. I was advised at one point to sue the mayor over derogatory statements about my family. I am not interested in that. I just want to see things move peacefully forward. Those that assume this was a witch hunt are seriously misinformed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kohler, for recusing yourself. I'll open it up to my colleagues. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lindsay? I'm going to start down with Councilor Duran and then work our way around.
Thank you. My only concern or my only thinking is this was a very cumbersome and clunky way of doing this, but it was what we have. It's what's in our rules. So, I mean, at some point, I think we should probably go through our rules again and maybe see if we can come up with some better ways. You know, one of the suggestions was mediation. So I definitely think we need to take some time in the future and go through this stuff and find a better way to make this stuff happen.
Thank you. Councilor Christopher?
Thank you. I agree with that. And I think that you could, after we get through this process, you could draft something for us to look at. It's been a difficult situation for all of us, and it's been a difficult situation for our community. And I just want everyone to know, and you're here so that you can verify this, Joe. This was new to all of us. And so we looked to you every step of the way. I believe that Councilor Duran contacted you and said, how do I file a complaint? What do I do? You helped him through that. You drafted the complaint. At any point, once Councilor Duran asked me if I would sign on, I was the one that left the executive session. And so that made sense, and I said I would. At any point through this process, did you offer advice that we did not take?
No, the thing is, if there needed to be any more information sought than what people personally had, then the only way to do it following your rules is with 16.1, which again, we're saying is sort of maybe unfortunate that exists. I think the approach too and I thank you guys for having an outside person, because I served the group. So I also think that was very helpful to, even if
But that was
more
your
expensive,
recommendation as well.
more expensive is to just not, make it too awkward for somebody who works for everybody.
Right.
So I do appreciate that too.
That's really all I wanted to make clear, is that this was new to all of us. We followed, we looked to you. I mean, you're not our attorney, you're the city's attorney. So you look and determine liability for our city, but also legality. And so you're really the only one that has authority over the public officials to make sure that we're staying in line and not harming the city, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilor Kohler, you made your comments already. Councilor Parsons, do you have anything?
I have no questions for Mr. Lindsay, but I do have a statement. Don't forget Soraya.
I won't.
I'll read the statement after you do the motion.
Oh, after you
Yes.
want to speak after the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Cross, do you have any questions on the staff report for Mr. Lindsay or anything?
I just have stuff for discussion. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Lindsay, can you, and I'm asking you because I'm not an attorney. What can you, is there anything you can share about what the process was in terms of like, of the inquiry itself and the process that went through and the process of the carrying out the inquiry? Is there anything you can share?
Well, it's an accelerated timeline, and so you're supposed to at least finish the investigation within the 30 days, and so it's trying to, people were gone for summer trips and in and out, and so within, you also have to properly notice that group became a governing body, right? Because it was tasked with advising the bigger body, and so we had to follow public meetings law for that group. Part of that is notice, so you have to have over 24 hours notice. So the process itself just looks like a super accelerated, we got to meet and get stuff going and then try to get everybody's schedule and announce to everybody what's sort of happening behind the scenes. One of the tricks of this whole situation was that it was about activity that happened in a privileged setting of executive session. And I know that's been one of, I think, the sore parts for the public at large is you guys hold the privilege of executive session for reasons so that you're not put at a disadvantage as a public body. And some of those situations are like labor negotiations or litigation or evaluation of a public employee. It's sort of set up so that in these moments where you guys act like an employer or act like a negotiator, that you're not put at a disadvantage because everything has to be in the public otherwise. Well, when you do that and then that information is privileged, the whole group holds that privilege. And so nobody can divulge what that is unless the group says otherwise. So then the trick is, how do you guys like to look transparent, you guys like to, operate in the public. This is one of those awkward moments where it was something that happened in executive session, so it became kind of tricky that way. And then the other thing is not knowing exactly what was going to be said. If you utilize an attorney in a workplace investigation, then that can, their bigger body of stuff can be confidential because they're working towards, as an attorney, to give you advice, right? And so that's a little protection as well, and that seems secretive to people, but those protections are in place to protect the accused as much as, the witnesses and people, so people's dirty laundry doesn't have to be all over the place too. So, part of this process is using the protections so that this group isn't at a disadvantage and the ugly stick isn't all over too. So, I realize that the public, whenever there's blanks or whenever there's holes, people like to fill in the holes. And so it's painful to have a public body have kind of an acutely double-layered protected process, but that's the way it went. And so for better or worse, here we are. And the end result may even be anticlimactic for folks because of the shroud of secrecy, but it was really the privilege of exec session and the confidentiality of having attorneys do your work product.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Before I ask for a motion, is there anything anyone else wants to ask about the staff report? Okay. Do I have anyone who wants to put a motion on the table?
I will, Councilor Curls. I move to accept the recommendation of the Internal Oversight Committee and direct the city attorney to produce a draft memorandum of concern for the council's consideration at the next general meeting on August 17th, 2026.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? And I'm gonna go around the dais and I will save my comments for the end as the unfortunate chair of this committee. So I will start with Counselor Duran.
I just have a quick comment. I mean, this whole thing with the secrecy part of it has, made us look like we're trying to hold stuff back. And my looking at this was anytime I wanted to say something, I couldn't because this could have been used on me just for letting stuff out. So, it's a fine line to walk, and feel like, I'm doing something wrong for following the rules that the only way I can do this. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Counselor Christopher?
I agree with you. It's been an exceedingly difficult situation for our city. It's been an expensive situation for our city. I'm sorry it had to happen. It wasn't the first time, but I hope it's the last time. And I look forward to completing the process. Like I said, it's a cumbersome process, but we followed all of your advice, every letter throughout the entire process. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Christopher. Counselor Kohler, because you're recusing yourself, unless you have something that you want to add.
Just, again, reiterate, I was never looking for a pound of flesh.
Thank you. Counselor Parsons?
Thank you, Council President Starr. I would like first to state for the record that I was never in agreement with this process from the onset. I believe there has been a significant lack of transparency throughout this matter, and I believe that the recording should be released. As members of the City Council, we have a responsibility to represent the people we serve, and I believe the public has a right to understand what occurred and why the established rules and procedures were not followed. I also have concerns about the guidance provided by our legal counsel regarding the formation and oversight of the committee. I believe it was inappropriate for the Oversight Committee to be the party raising the complaints, and I have concerns about the fairness and integrity of that process. Given those concerns, I do not feel that I can participate in tonight's vote. Therefore, I will be abstaining from the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Parsons. Counselor Cross, do you have any comments?
Well, I was not at that executive session. My statement is more that there's a lot of discourse over this. There's 7 individuals that love the city of Keizer. They do, because no one would volunteer 40 hours of their week. So I would hope anybody listening or following this gives everyone grace on all of that. And because I wasn't at that executive session, I put my trust in our city attorney and the counselors that are on that committee and with the outside attorney doing the work.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Counselor Cross? Did you listen to the tape?
No, that's it. No, I didn't, because I wasn't there and I felt like that I read people with facial expressions and whatnot, and I just felt like I wanted you guys to do the work on this, and I just decided not to.
Okay, thank you. I stated that I was the unfortunate chair of this committee. I am passionate about community service and serving this community. I have hated my life for 8 weeks. This was not a fun process. I hated this process. I hated the horrible things that were said by people because they thought they knew what was said in an executive session, and they thought they knew what was written in a report by an outside investigator. I would hope that this council would take this opportunity to do better in the future. I want us to review this process. And I am going to implore our community that it is easy to be a keyboard warrior and to make comments on things that you were not a part of by law and that you did not have access to in terms of information by law that we're operating under in terms of an executive session. If you want to be a keyboard warrior, I would also challenge you to pick up a phone and talk to somebody and to ask questions. And if anyone out here thinks that this has been, it has been up there in the worst 8 weeks of my life. And I can sit here and I can tell you that because of the things that were said and the online, frankly, there are some pretty bad comments that were made. I have been holed up in my house because of the things that people have said. I get, and I said to somebody not too long ago when this whole thing was going, I understand why people get to a deep despair and hating their life and not wanting to continue. And when people treat people the way that this whole thing has been handled, I have lost sleep. I've lost, I hope and I pray that we will do better as a council. That's my challenge. And I hope that we can do better as a community. But please, pick up a phone and ask people questions. Ask somebody to go to coffee. And when somebody says, I can't talk about it, please do not write stories in your head and make things up and then repeat them because you just don't know. And I never want to have to go through this again. And at the end of what I will say is that I had a conversation with a neutral, independent, as part of our executive session. I received a report from an independent investigator, a neutral third party. And at the end of the day, I cannot ignore what I have been advised by that independent investigator, nor can I ignore what we have been advised by our city attorney to do. But we have to do better as a community. And I am hopeful that we can, after this, we can seek reconciliation and we can just be better humans to each other. And that is not directed at any one person. That is directed at everyone who calls Keizer home. That includes the 7 of us up on this dais and the 40,000 people that live here. We have a responsibility to do better and and do better for our future generations. Is there anything else before we take this vote that I don't want to have to take? Okay, it's been moved and seconded under Rule 16.1 to accept the recommendation of the Internal Oversight Committee and direct the city attorney to produce a draft memorandum of concern for the council's consideration at the next general meeting on August 17th, 2026. And I realize I just am about ready to call the vote, but I want to ask one clarifying question. Mr. Lindsay, did you recommend to us that we take the vote and then ask for Counselor Clark's comments, or for Counselor Clark to give her comments before we take the vote?
I would say take the vote because the rule says that she can't participate in the discussion.
Got it.
And so we're just sadly trying to follow that rule, but what it does is it gives an opportunity between the drafting and the, and that doesn't have to be even tonight. That can give her some time for the next meeting too. If she wants to, if you so want to make,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, abstentions?
Aye.
So we have one recusal, Counselor Kohler, one abstention, Counselor Parsons. I'm going to do a roll call vote. Counselor Cross?
Aye.
Counselor Duran?
Aye.
Counselor Christopher?
Aye.
And Counselor Starr? Aye. Motion carries. Counselor Clark, I would like to offer you an opportunity. Unfortunately, the advice was to not allow you to speak before the vote, but I would like to give you that opportunity now.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone in this community who's come to the meetings, sent in letters, and folks who have sent me so many messages of kind encouragement, support, and grace. A lesson I've learned through a mentor actually of my husband's was be hard on problems and not on people. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do. I will continue to work and serve this community, which you and I all proudly call our home. Thank you. I believe we are on to other business.
Thank God. Okay.
Other business, this time is provided for the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring in new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Brown, do you or staff members have other business this evening?
We do not have any other business.
Council members, do any of you have other business for this evening? Okay. I just wanted to make sure, Councilor Kohler, you sent us all an email about a proposal to review and adopt for, a video that you sent us. Was that something you intended to bring to council, or was that for, educational purposes only?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not recalling what you're
It was,
asking.
yeah, it was the,
Oh,
yes, you remember, the video from, I'm gonna muck up the name, Makai Elias Callis, who sent the video, and you asked, in the email about review and adopt as we feel necessary. It was on humility. So did you intend that to be something to review and adopt, or was that educational only?
educational. I think that what it was about was that we need to work with each other, and when we have the opportunity to choose kindness and to work with humility and do our best to accomplish all we need to.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that that's all it was. Thank you. Staff updates. We are at 8:45, but there are a couple of pretty significant, 10:45, wrong time zone. Some significant stuff coming up, so want to do a really quick run around because there's a big one with police. Mr. Cleaver,
None tonight.
Mr. Brown,
None tonight.
Mr. Wood,
Nothing as well.
Ms. Bissett.
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Chief, tomorrow's big one.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, City Councilors, just a reminder, we have National Night Out tomorrow from typically 6 to 9. So police and fire will be out visiting, and some councilors and city manager. We'll be out visiting some block parties and hoping to have a good time.
I also want to highlight something that was in a report and about an operation making 30 traffic stops on distracted driving, which is something that we talked about here very recently and with our multimodal safety. Do you want to comment on that a little bit? I thought that was very significant.
Yeah, those are done under a grant that we receive, and it's just a reminder for the community to focus on driving, not on your phone.
Right. Hang up and drive. I think a lot of us say that to people in traffic. Thank you very much. Ms. Blaylock, there's a big project that is going on Verda. Do you have any updates for us? Yeah.
The contractor was scheduled to complete the first phase last week. And that would have included the curbs, sidewalks, and stormwater facilities. They are running a bit behind schedule, so we are meeting with them soon in order to check their schedule with regard to the school and the return of the students. So we want to make sure that that's the priority, and then paving, obviously, before the window closes. So that's where we are so far.
Okay.
And ODOT has been very responsive to our needs and to a lot of the complaints that have come through. I've heard positive feedback, so just wanted to let them know they're doing a good job.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. And kudos to the contractor that was on Dearborn last week that got done a little early, which everybody in the neighborhood appreciated, and it looks great. All right. Thank you. Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you. I don't have anything, but because Shane Witham could not be here tonight, you guys do have at your next meeting a comp plan zone change for Windsor Island. So just so that is on your radar, that will be your next general meeting on the 17th. So just keep that in mind and be watchful and mindful about ex parte contact, right? So make sure that if somebody's coming up to you and wanting to talk to you about that, you have to, take note. A, should I really speak to him too much? And B, if you do, make sure that you put it up on the dais before you sit in judgment of a plan.
Yep. Very important reminder. All right. Councilor reports. Councilor Duran.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Christopher, do you want to explain your beautiful outfit?
I was going to say, I'm a pioneer tonight. The reason I have this on is because we have an exhibit in the Oregon State Capitol, the Thomas Duff Keizer exhibit that was in our living room 2 or 3 years ago. It's going to be there the whole month of August. It's been 3 years to get it there. It looks beautiful. Tom looks great in the state capitol. So if you get a chance to go by and see it, it's in the Galleria. Easiest access is off State Street, and you can go right in and he'll be right there. It was a great reception tonight. Tammy Wild, who is the project manager, just did an exceptional job highlighting all of his accomplishments and all of the accomplishments of Keizer. So I just want to let you know.
Thank you. Council President Starr.
I have nothing, thank you.
Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've had opportunity to attend a couple of very interesting meetings. One about the sewage storm. What do we call that? It was the water and storm, and not stormwater, but sewage treatment, wastewater. There you go. And in Salem,
Please don't get those confused.
Pretty exciting stuff. They want to raise your rates again.
Of course they do.
2 meetings.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you very much. Councilor Parsons.
I have nothing, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Cross.
I have nothing.
All right. Just a couple of updates. Thank you to everybody who was at the Community Business Education Leaders of the Seabell Family Fun Night at St. Edward's. Thank you, St. Edward, for hosting that. Keizer Police for being there. A lot of our community partners were there for all of our families. Fantastic turnout. The weather could not have been better. It was great. We didn't fry this year. And thank you to all the volunteers who came out for that great night. The families had such a good time, and a lot of fun raffle prizes that were donated for folks to take home. we all know that there's a whole lot of weekend events that have been happening, Summer Sounds. I hope folks were out there. Huge turnout for Ty Curtis this last Friday night or Saturday night. And I was talking to Tim Davis, and he said that attendance at the concerts this year are up about 30%. So Keizer shows up, and we like a good concert. So there's 3 more concerts in the series every Saturday night between now and the end of August. Of course, it's going to be, who else would be at the end? JFK. So turn out for that. We've also had just concluded the Great Oregon Steam Up, Canterbury Fair, Hoopla, the San Diego Music Festival, so much more happening in this area for the summer. And coming up, of course, National Night Out. I'll be leaving on Thursday for the Oregon Mayor's Association down in Ashland, and we'll be there through Sunday morning. Looking forward to meeting with folks there. I get to do a workshop with OMA President Tammy Kaufman, the mayor of oh, for heaven's sake, Gold Beach, for an orientation for new mayors. That's going to, or newer mayors. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And we have an LOC Region 3 meeting. I don't know if they put out the event announcement for that, but watch for that. It'll turn up in your bulletin. Okay. We have, under agenda input, we have a work session next Monday. So hopefully you got your LOC Legislative Policy Committee choices into Mr. Brown. I did mine this afternoon, so a little late, but it's there. And hopefully you got that in. Yep.
Like, could you send those to us again?
And you were gonna clarify the scale.
Yeah, the 1 to 8. So one point is, 8 is super important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that again.
So, okay, resend. So we'll be ready for our conversation next Monday regarding the statewide policies that have been recommended for cities to discuss. There's going to be it's going to be an interesting session. I'll just leave it there because we really don't know who's going to be there. We'll be there, we'll be back in regular session on Monday, August 18th at 6 p.m. We have a work session then on August 24th with our event center policies. And if we have time, a little more information as was alluded to this evening by Mr. Borden and Mr. Ito on our Keizer EO Sister City Association. And then moving into September, we will meet on Tuesday, September 8th, because of Labor Day being Monday, and we will convene at 6 p.m. I know, we're talking September already.
And Parks Board, the next week.
And then the next one after that is our Parks Tour. Absolutely. That is everything I've got. The agenda is complete. The time is 9:55 and we are adjourned.